It is snacks around Halloween. Lots of family photos through the holidays. Make sure those pearly whites are looking pearly and white. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Whether it's a simple cleaning and exam, a more complex dental procedure, a teeth whitening, or an implant, the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care and Dr. Michaels are going to take great care of you, just like they've taken great care of me. Centrally located between Milwaukee and Madison, the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care is always going to make you as comfortable as possible while you're in the chair and give both you and your family an amazing smile. At Oconomowoc Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream, it's the reality. Dr. Michael's fantastic and friendly staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so don't wait any longer. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Call his friendly and caring staff today and make an appointment with my guy, Dr. Michaels.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to adventknows.com.
Your hometown hub for everything that matters. The latest news, traffic, weather, and sports on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon, 12 o'clock. We have 44 degrees, reaching for a high today of only 45. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber.
It is for you to determine which one of the forms of verdict submitted you will bring in as your verdict.
Judge David Swanson sending the jury to deliberations on the fifth and expected final day of Michael Mattioli's homicide trial. The jury now deciding whether or not to find Mattioli guilty of first-degree reckless homicide in the 2020 death of Joel Acevedo, who died 6 days after a house party at Mattioli's residence. The jury will deliberate over three forms of verdict. We'll have more on this throughout the day here on WTMJ. With West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin's announcement this week that he is not running for re-election to the Senate in 2024, ABC's Rachel Bade says his absence will not only change how Democrats plan their strategy to maintain control, but will likely impact how the chamber works as a whole for years to come.
It's not only important for Democrats, for them having the majority or losing the majority in this case, but it's also significant for the institution of the Senate. I mean, Manchin is one of the few deal makers who is still around. We've seen a lot of people who have sort of had this moderate brand who are willing to reach across the aisle who have left, and they've been replaced a lot of times by Trump acolytes who don't want to compromise. So this is going to have long-term implications.
A judge is denying former President Trump's request to delay his classified documents trial until after the 2024 presidential election. The judge could still decide to push the trial date back when the parties meet in March. Former president is facing multiple charges for allegedly mishandling classified material. The possibility of a casino in Kenosha is getting mixed reviews at a public hearing last night.
Developers from Hard Rock Cafe project 850 building jobs if the plan for a casino along I-94 comes through. One union member was ecstatic at the idea.
It is going to create a lot of great jobs for building trades members as well as the whole area surrounding this.
But another attendee voiced concern on the whole effects of a casino in Kenosha.
I see that there's short-term gain, and I love that. Get jobs for the trades. That's wonderful. But you really need to think long-term.
Jack Grau, WTMJ News.
The entire Kenosha County Board is expected to vote on the proposal November 14th. The annual Red Kettle campaign for the Salvation Army kicking off this morning in the 3rd Ward.
I'm at the Milwaukee Public Market where the Salvation Army is starting their Red Kettle campaign. Plenty of people are here to eat breakfast and hear their ideas for the upcoming holiday season. Some of them include a tap to pay, tap to give program where instead of giving cash, you can use your phone or card to give at the red kettles that you'll see outside, and their goal for this Red Kettle campaign, which is $4 million. I'm Jack Grau, WTMJ News.
Taylor Swift has a chance to move past 3 legends for Most Album of the Year Grammy wins. Her Midnights album among 8 nominees that were announced today for the 66th Grammy Awards set for February 4th in Los Angeles. Swift currently tied with Frank Sinatra, Stevie Wonder, and Paul Simon for Most Album of the Year Grammys with 3. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow now up 271 points. The Nasdaq is up 208, and the S&P 500 is up 48. The Annex Wealth Management Year-End Tax Planning Guide is here. Download yours at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:04.
Your pet isn't just a pet, they're part of your family. Most of the pet food on the market is cooked at high temperatures, which kills nutrients. A scoop of Dynavite is a 3-in-1 daily supplement, adding back key nutrients to your pup's health. Try Dynavite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio. That's Dynavite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynavite.
At Simply Safe Home Security, your safety is the only thing that matters. That's why you get 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day, because every home deserves to be protected. Right now, get 50% off the whole home security system named the best of 2023 by U.S. News and World Report. Visit simplysafe.com/radio to save big today. Advanced Home Security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi for Heiser Automotive. I love talking about Heiser. I've had a great 5-year relationship with them. I just turned in my 2021 Lincoln Corsair, and now I have a brand new 2023 Ford Explorer. Just getting to know it. You got to love the Ford experience, and I'll tell you all about it in the months ahead. What's some of the great things that Heiser's doing? Well, no hidden market adjustment fees. They always price under MSRP. They have their great Safe and Sound program on all their new and used vehicles. The Vehicle Exchange program, if you don't love it, exchange it. Roadside assistance for life. Never left stranded on the roadside, and much more. Visit Heiser.com for full details. They have a lot of inventory and have their specialists ready to help you order as well. Build the car exactly the way you want it. That's why I go to Heiser. That's why you should as well. 5 great, convenient locations to get your vehicle ready for the upcoming season. Call for an appointment to schedule service. Heiser can help fix body damage, too. They have 2 body shops ready and open to new clients. Heiser. That's why they say every day, today's your day.
Giannis scored an NBA season-high 54 points, but committed 2 late turnovers late, and the Indiana Pacers beat the Milwaukee Bucks by a final score of 126-124 on Thursday night. With the loss, the Bucks falling to 5-3 on their season and will be back to work on Saturday night in Orlando. Over to the NFL, where the Bears knocked off the Panthers to kick off Week 10 with the Thursday night win by a final score of 16-13. Chicago with the win, improving to 3-7 on their season. 2 college hoops, where the Wisconsin men's basketball team will welcome in the number 9 team ranked in the country, the Tennessee Volunteers, tonight at the Kohl Center. That tip-off is all scheduled for 8 p.m. And lastly, the Green Bay Packers are just days away from their Week 10 matchup in Pittsburgh. On Thursday afternoon, the Packers were back out on the practice field. Still no Jair Alexander or Quay Walker for the Pack. However, John Runyon Jr. and Yosh Nijman did return to practice. Kickoff for Steelers-Packers is all set for noon on Sunday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. It's Friday Light Holiday. Friday Light I-43 southbound from Brown Deer Road to downtown is about the only minor delays. Usually about an 11-minute drive. That's going to be about 14. Look for some ramp and 1 lane closure in that area this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Weisgerber's Golden Mast Inn, your place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Looking for a perfect wedding venue? Open air terrace nestled over Okachi Lake. Weisberger's Golden Mast. Have it all at the lake. Your wedding place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. It's going to be cloudy the rest of the afternoon. High 45 today and an overnight low of 32. Decreasing cloudiness. Sunny skies tomorrow with a high 47. Sun and clouds on Sunday with a high 54. And both Monday and Tuesday, sunny and mild. Highs both days in the upper 50s. Right now, Madison's at 41. Green Bay 43. Milwaukee 44. I'm Connie Weber. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 12:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now filling in for Jeff Wagner, here's Tracy Johnson.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to this Friday afternoon. My 5th and final day filling in for Jeff Wagner. It's been a blast. Thank you all for being a part of the show. If at any point you want to drop me a line, I know I'm giving some people some information from yesterday's show about the Veterans Project and all of that. Feel free to text us 855-616-1620. I have to give a shout out early and often to our veterans. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and happy Veterans Day. I know there are a lot of people who are off for the observance of Veterans Day today. The official Veterans Day is tomorrow, November 11th, as it is every year. We will be following any breaking news that happens throughout the show, which goes until 3 o'clock today, including that from the Michael Mattioli trial, what's happening if there is any change with the Brewers and the manager search. There's also a lot happening in the legislature with hearings and committee meetings on election reform, mental health, and of course, the Brewers Stadium funding deal. So we have a lot to get to on today's show, including why I am suddenly finding myself on the same side of an issue as Whoopi Goldberg. And I think you will too. Also, with Veterans Day tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about a study that suggests there are generational differences in the perception and acknowledgement of Veterans Day and our service members. And we'll have some fun too. As I teased before the show, we have a Door Dasher with us. And there has been this weeks-long discussion about the way that DoorDash handles tipping. And so we're going to get right to it. We're going to go right to the source and talk about if this is the right way to do a business. But I want to start here because it broke as I was leaving the show yesterday. And I think as we kind of hand off the baton from Steve's show to this show, talking about politics, it adds a very important twist to our overall political discussion. This as we come off of an election Tuesday and a Republican presidential primary debate. That was the announcement of Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin, senator from West Virginia, saying that he will not seek re-election. His reason is that he just felt like he didn't fit in anymore. He is a long-tenured Democrat senator, and he has always been seen, and he sees himself as a centrist and a moderate. He's pro-life, but he's pro-environment. We had some issues when it came to the drilling and the pipeline, and he is in a deep red state, but he has managed to be reelected time and time again. Over the past few years, he has been seen as a centrist, and he's been in the middle of a lot of really important issues that require bipartisan support. He's been seen as a bridge builder, and often, as I see it, someone who is willing to have an adult conversation. And it strikes me that when he leaves, I don't know who that next centrist person will be. He also all but guarantees that Jim Justice, a Republican who will be running against him, will take that seat and shift the Senate in West Virginia shift the Senate in the United States towards a Republican, at least in theory. And he had an op-ed when he made this announcement, Joe Manchin did. It was in the Wall Street Journal. It's, I don't know, a couple hundred words. And he did a video to accompany it. And I would encourage you, if you have 4 minutes, to take a look at that. I know I was trying to edit a couple of sound bites and it just got a little too much. He says that he got involved in politics to serve his country. And I think a lot of politicians use that as their motivation. He said, whether a friend or foe, I will serve them all. And he was very inspired by John F. Kennedy. Although a Democrat, many Republicans did like him, did agree with him, and hold him in such high regard. Joe Manchin uses the quote, ask not what you can do for, not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I can't hear that enough because I think politicians often today aren't thinking like that. He doesn't care where a good idea comes from as long as it's good policy. And he's looking for a policy that will benefit us all. The way he talks, I sometimes identify with because I don't necessarily think he's flopping around in the middle. He kind of rises above some of the anger and the partisanship. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are looking for today. He says we've just become a party of extremes. And as someone who knows both sides, I've always seen the value in understanding the opinions and the motivations of those who disagree with me. And if we don't understand where the other person is coming from, we'll never understand how to get to common ground. And so those were some of the thoughts that really came over me as I was listening to his message. And I think as he looked ahead to 2025, he just realized that there was no place for him at a national level. It sounds like he is going to maybe roll his sleeves up and get involved in the No Labels Party. He has been talked about as a potential independent candidate or to test out this No Labels Party. He's going to spend time traveling the country. They said he might join up with Mitt Romney and talk about finding that moderate middle, that consensus. And I think that in him doing so, he will have a much better opportunity to hopefully encourage all political parties and all people on the extremes, or even if you're in the middle of the extremes, it will give those people something to shake their head and say, yes, I agree with this. Now, would somebody like this be electable? I don't think so, running under one of those parties. Our parties are just so powerful. It's a money machine, the way that I see it. I don't work in that space, but boy, it's going to take a lot more than just Joe Manchin to really upset this apple cart. But I like his message, and he says, let's be sensible. He actually reminds me of another candidate who left politics for similar reasons. Many of you might remember Reed Ribble. He was a congressman in the 8th District who got out because there was just so much divide, and there wasn't anything that he could do to get things done. I thought the op-ed was very good, and I, like many voters, will be seeking common sense. So we'll have to kind of put this through our filters, but I think it's just an interesting place to start the show today. I mentioned a personal connection, and it might not be like super personal, but I did meet Joe Manchin in Paris, France, of all places. I was there with my family, and he was at the hotel getting breakfast. And he was in his suit and tie, and my father-in-law actually noticed him and said, hey, I think that's Joe Manchin. I said, well, then you go say hi to him. So he did. And it turns out it was Joe Manchin, and he was there for an air show. There was a Paris air show. And the senator came over to the table where we were sitting, and he said hello to my entire family, to my kids, to my mother-in-law, my husband, and it was just very memorable. He was genuinely a nice person, and I think it will be interesting to see how he communicates the message and how it's received throughout the country, especially as we move into this potentially, I'm not going to say potentially, this divisive presidential election. The other piece I'm following today suggests that there's an alarming rise in child vaccine exemptions. So we're going to talk about that when we come back, but right now it's 12:17 on WTMJ.
Craig Counsell's time as the Brewers manager has come to an end. Good luck to Craig and his new Wait, where did he go? Really? There? Of all places. Oh, what a season it's gonna be. Keep it tuned here for all the breaking Brewers news, including who will be the new manager. And yes, when we will play those pesky Northsiders. We are the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
New windows? Where do I begin? It seems everyone is staking claim that their window is the best. Let's talk about 4 characteristics of windows that are important: energy efficiency, aesthetics, operation, and installation. If their window is the best, these qualities should stand out. Living in Wisconsin, energy efficiency is important for your comfort and your wallet. While many companies want to focus on glass ratings, we can't forget that air infiltration is just as important. You can have the best glass in the world. It is useless if wind is whistling around it and you're losing money out the window. The best window should look amazing. When comparing and contrasting, so often the less attractive windows have wider, bulky frames and hardware that looks like an afterthought. If you are seeking the best, then narrow, sleek frames that look beautiful as well as maximize the glass space will give you a gorgeous window that allows more natural light into your home. How easy do your windows operate? Are they tough to clean or even impossible to open? How they operate is very important for the best windows. The best windows are easy to clean and easy to open. True professional installation will assure your windows perform and operate fantastic. The best product in the world will not perform if it is installed wrong. Siding Unlimited's showroom is open so you can see, touch, feel, investigate your window choice. We offer the best windows and can prove it. Stop on by. Siding Unlimited is an easy place to begin.
Local and family-owned Siding Unlimited. 3-time Pella Windows Platinum Elite Certified Contractor of the Year. And not just here, in the whole USA. Get the best windows installed by the best installer. Go first and directly to sidingunlimited.com.
12:19 on WTMJ. Thanks for spending your Friday afternoon with us. We were discussing the announcement of Joe Manchin not to run for Senate in West Virginia. And, I could have picked that story, or I could have picked this one that I have over here about Dwayne Johnson running for president. I think we'll save that for another day here. He's very likable, but not right now. So switching gears to a more serious topic, I don't really talk about vaccines very often. It's sometimes a controversial topic, and it really, really is. But this headline caught my attention, and it suggests that the U.S. is seeing an alarming rise in childhood vaccine exemptions. And this was surprising to me because I haven't had this discussion again with my friends. It says the proportion of U.S. kindergartners exempted from school vaccination requirements has hit its highest level ever. And while it's its highest level ever, that is still only 3%. The story goes on to say that more parents are questioning routine childhood vaccines that they used to automatically accept, an effect of the political schism that emerged during the pandemic and kind of the COVID vaccines. Now, to some of you, this might not be alarming, but as a mom of still school-aged kids, I take notice of this. What CDC officials suggest and health officials suggest is that our population has to have around a 95% vaccination rate. And right now, with the increase in exemptions, that percentage is falling. And yes, it has to do with the fact that people have less trust in vaccines. And I think it is directly related to the information, any misinformation or disinformation about COVID vaccines. And what really scares me is that COVID vaccine, for example, is not a required vaccine. We're talking about measles, mumps, chickenpox, polio vaccines. Moms and parents are bypassing these very important proven vaccines because they don't trust the COVID vaccine. And I would encourage anyone who is thinking about it as all or nothing to really look at the research. Polio, measles, these are deadly sicknesses and diseases that will spread very, very quickly if the population is not vaccinated. And so, I know there are lots of reasons people would get an exemption. There are medical exemptions, and then there are religious exemptions and other non-medical exemptions. And I think many of them have their merit. But because you wouldn't trust a COVID vaccine or some of the information, just don't lump them all into one. I think we're going to continue to see measles outbreaks and chickenpox outbreaks and polio. I mean, this was all but eradicated. And all it takes is one. In fact, earlier this year, there was a case of measles in Wisconsin and in Illinois. So, as a parent, we have full responsibility and we have to do our research. And, I would encourage those who are taking a second look to go the next step. You can take your time on a flu vaccine or COVID vaccine. Those aren't mandatory. I know there was a lot of talk that they would be, but they're not anymore. Continue to do your research. Continue to look at the numbers. This is an alarming statistic. And in some places, I was reading Idaho, 12% of kindergartners have medical exemptions. So it is very geographic in nature as well. This will be one that we'll probably continue to talk about, especially as it's flu vaccine season. You know, the number of Wisconsinites, the percentage of Wisconsinites that get a flu vaccine is somewhere around 50%. That number actually really surprises me. I haven't had a flu vaccine in a few years, but it's not because I don't trust it. It's just because it wasn't convenient. So we'll continue to watch this. All right, we're going to lighten it up now. So when we come back, we talk a lot about the Republican convention coming here to Wisconsin next year. We talk a lot about the Northwestern Mutual Convention that comes here every year. But there's one that's coming up in April 2025 that I haven't heard a lot about. We'll discuss when we return.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me as we count down to the RNC in Milwaukee. We'll talk to the biggest names across the political landscape. Mark Cassie's the editor-in-chief of the Milwaukee Business Journal.
Every national outlet in terms of the media is going to have a key spot around the arena. So they're going to be working on that over the next couple months.
Full podcast available on WTMJ.com or text RNC to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620 and get a link sent directly to you. It's the countdown to the RNC podcast, only here on WTMJ. I love the Fox and Hounds. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The historic restaurant was recently voted the best supper club in the area. First opened in 1933, and they've been serving fabulous dinners for almost 90 years in their rustic timber structure. The Friday codfish fry is all you care to eat. It's $17.99. All other dinners are buy one, get one free. And the best part of the meal, I think, is the made-from-scratch desserts. Also, buy one, get one free. I love the peanut butter cake. Oh, my gosh, that pie is fantastic. Add a Manhattan, an old-fashioned, 100 wines to accent your dinner. The Fox and Hounds is family-owned and one of the most unique and affordable supper clubs in Wisconsin. Your second dinner is always free. Just off Highway 167, 2 miles east and in the shadows of the beautiful Holy Hill Shrine. As the seasons change colors, the drive is just beautiful, a must-see. Enjoy the all-you-care-to-eat Friday codfish fry, and the Sunday brunch is delicious. Tables are still open. Reserve now at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com.
Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. My lower back and neck feel so much better after a few months' care with Dr. Alex and his team. But here's the thing. It's not only neck and back. Testimonials from my fellow patients. One young lady said, my stomach feels better. Another woman said she no longer has pain in her knees. Many patients talk about getting better sleep. It's worth a consultation with Connect Chiropractic to see how they can help. Book your first appointment at goconnectchiro.com.
Is your home drafty and cold in the winter? Retrofoam of Southeastern Wisconsin will fill your walls, lower your heating and cooling bills, and give you an airtight seal with their foam insulation. It's all done from the exterior of your home without any hassle or mess. Retrofoam offers a lifetime no-cost warranty with a property protection guarantee. They take pride in their customer service, treating all customers like family. Get 0% financing for 5 years if you call and mention WTMJ. Call today at 262-234-FOAM. That's 262-234-FOAM.
Welcome back on WTMJ. I am your host, Tracy Johnson, in for Jeff Wagner through 3 o'clock today. We talk a lot about the RNC coming to Milwaukee in 2024, the $200 million economic impact, the 45,000 people that will be descending onto our city in July of 2024. And now we have another convention to look forward to and to talk about in our great state, and that is the 2025 NFL Draft. Earlier this week, the NFL made an unprecedented move when they announced the dates for the 2025 NFL Draft basically 2 years ahead of time, a year and a half ahead of time, which they never do. So those dates, for those of you at home marking your calendars, will be April 24th through April 26th, 2025. And this will take place in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. The reason they gave for announcing the dates so early is because this is the smallest market that the NFL Draft has ever taken place in. And they realize that Green Bay is going to have a lot of work to do to get up to speed, to get the businesses prepared, to make any infrastructure changes that they'll need to make in order to welcome something like 240,000 people to Green Bay. They're saying that this event, that this draft will have almost a $100 million economic impact. It goes on to break down some more numbers, suggesting 54.4 million TV viewers in the U.S., 1.5 billion in media reach, and 250 million social media views. So this is a big, big deal for our state, and this is such a big deal for Green Bay. And if you haven't been up to Green Bay in a while, I suggest you take a day trip and check it out. What they've done with Titletown is just simply amazing. And having worked with and knowing some of the developers and some of the people making the decisions, I know that they have been so laser focused on creating this mixed use, very functional entertainment, office, living environment that could be activated not just on those game days, but for workers and other events to stimulate the economy. One of the interesting things to note about the Green Bay Packers hosting the 2025 NFL Draft is that being such a small market, they don't have nearly enough hotel rooms to accommodate the 250,000 guests that will be coming in, right? So they have to reach out and work with people in Milwaukee, people in Sheboygan, communities all across the state in order to make those numbers. One of the things I learned from working with folks in tourism is that when you pitch for a convention, you have to check a couple of boxes. And one of those boxes is, can you accommodate all the people, all of the guests? And a lot of times they'll have kind of a drive time geographic radius. And I think they had to make that radius quite large for Green Bay because it's so far out there. But one of the things they do, again, is to make sure that they have the appropriate number of hotel rooms within that radius. And one of the things I learned is that they actually went ahead and made deals with some of the homeowners. So they have hotels, they have Airbnbs, and then they have some of the homeowners. And they had to make individual deals with some of those folks in order to hit all those numbers. So this is going to be an incredible event, not just for Green Bay, not just for Milwaukee, but for Wisconsin. And I can't wait to see Wisconsin once again on the national and international stage for an event like this. This is not the first time they've gone after the NFL draft, but because they were able to learn from, why they may not have received it a couple times ago or a couple years ago, they were able to make those changes, get more partners, receive more support, collaborate even further, and really present a package that the NFL would go for. And so the clock starts now. The clock actually started a couple months ago when the announcement was made. But now that we have those dates, April 24th through the 26th of 2025, the NFL draft right here in Wisconsin, I can't wait. All right, it's 12:32. I'm Tracy Johnson in for Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Brian D. You know what time of year it is. Snacks around Halloween. Lots of family photos through the holidays. Make sure those pearly whites are looking pearly and white. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Whether it's a simple cleaning and exam, a more complex dental procedure, a teeth whitening, or an implant, the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care and Dr. Michaels are going to take great care of you, just like they've taken great care of me. Centrally located between Milwaukee and Madison, the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care is always going to make you as comfortable as possible while you're in the chair and give both you and your family an amazing smile. At Oconomowoc Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream, it's the reality. Dr. Michael's fantastic and friendly staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so don't wait any longer. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Call his friendly and caring staff today and make an appointment with my guy, Dr. Michaels. details.
At Annex Wealth Management, we believe every portfolio tells a story. After all, we've analyzed thousands. Some reflect diligence and fortitude, others a mishmash of overlapping investments. When Annex reviews your portfolio, we spot what works, what might not, and then provide unbiased suggestions free from sales commissions. Every portfolio tells a story. Let's work on yours. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. As a fee-only fiduciary, that's our story. Head to annexwealth.com.
Set your independence in motion. It starts with PACE at Community Care. The program of all-inclusive care for the elderly, also known as PACE, offers complete medical and long-term care services. A team of dedicated healthcare professionals coordinates all aspects of care to support independent living as long as possible. Learn more about a community that cares. Visit joinpacewi.com or call 833-900-PACE. That's joinpacewi.com or call 833-900-PACE.
It's 12:34 on WTMJ. Tracy Johnson in for Jeff Wagner. So when we put together the show, I'll sometimes ask some of the folks around the station, okay, how do you pick topics? Is it just what's in the headlines? Is it just what's in the news? Is it just what you see on your X feed? And Steve Wexler, who many of you know from Good Karma, he said to me, look around. And sometimes the most interesting things are right in front of you. And so the other day, I received a postcard in the mail, and it said, our school district is experiencing a budget crisis. It says through the 2023-24 school year, although it has just begun, our district is starting to plan for 24-25. Despite what has been described as a historic, and this is in quotes, year in funding for public school districts across the state of Wisconsin after Governor Evers signed the biennial budget in July, we do not stand to benefit substantially from state funding as a lower spending and property-rich community. Instead, we are projecting historic budget shortfalls beginning now through the foreseeable future. To address this financial crisis, we must find ways to increase revenue streams while reducing operating expenses. Cue the music. So, how do we solve for operational budget challenges? Okay, we have a couple ideas here. Number one, explore an operating referendum to be voted on in either April 2024, November of 2024, or April of 2025. Launch a philanthropic giving campaign or use a combination of Fund Balance and Fund 46 to balance the budget, whatever that is. All right, so they have already engaged a task force of community members to review these options. I'm wondering, have any of you received a similar postcard that says our school district is in a crisis? Communities all over Southeast Wisconsin are exploring now operating referendums that you will be seeing on the ballot in April. And I did a little bit of research, and there are a few communities that have already put language on the ballot, including Shorewood, which is not where I live. They're starting now, though, with the communication and the marketing to make the case that there just isn't enough money from the state. And I did a little bit of digging, and in my community, and I'm sure many of your communities, there are existing referendums. Many of them are capital referendums, and many of them are for operational expenses. And they are very different in how they are paid back. This is a very complicated kind of proposition, but nevertheless, it's a referendum. And in doing further research, I found that over the past 6 years, Wisconsin voters have shown less of an appetite to support these referenda. In November of 2018, the voters of Wisconsin approved $1.3 billion, and you kind of follow down, and in April of 2023, something like $650 million. In fact, last year, April of 2022, 90% of the referendums passed compared to 52% in 2023. Voters in 2023 said that inflation was just too much. And even though the incremental amount of a referendum, it's millions and millions and millions of dollars usually in a community, that has a minor impact on your property tax, anywhere from $70 a year to $120 a year. But voters are just saying it's adding up. And I think about this in the context of our discussion that we've had over the last week about Brewers funding. And some say that users should pay more through a ticket tax. If you use the stadium, you should pay for the funding. But I wonder if the same should be said for schools. Our system certainly is not set up that way. But I think about that, and I think about that a lot. And I fully acknowledge that schools are in a tough spot, and they tell us every chance that they get. Districts like Wauwatosa, they just announced that they were facing budget issues, but they said, we're going to have to consolidate. We're going to have to cut the number of schools. And this is controversial stuff, and it's complicated stuff. But acknowledging that there are changing demographics, they're potentially shifting population, this is the future of all communities. And so any solution that offers flexibility, I think, should be the first place that they look. So as voters, we need to be paying attention to these issues and look for better solutions and guidance for our districts so that we don't find ourselves looking 12 months out and saying, oh my gosh, we are in a budget crisis. The funding problem will never, ever go away. And schools are so important for our communities, for our property values, for our kids. And our kids across the state rely on the public education. And the education continues to be the top funded item in our state budget. It is very, very important. But it just struck me as I look around that it's just never enough. And to get this postcard in the mail, it just piqued my attention. Like, what are the chances that our community is once again going to vote for increased property taxes to support our schools? And where I find comfort, and where I think we should all find comfort, is knowing that referendums reflect the voice of the voters. And the voters need to be paying attention. Often these referendums are on off years. Often these referendums are solely marketed to parents and families with children. And that's where they're really focusing their efforts. These are complex and highly strategic operations. And many times they have value. I am not diminishing that at all. But it piqued my attention, and it just said, I wonder if this is going to be a wave once again. Last year, remember, almost all the referenda passed. And earlier this year, only half. So where does this go? And how are the school districts going to respond? Fascinating stuff. All right, when we come back, have you thanked a veteran today? We'll discuss when we return.
Your love isn't confined to an advent calendar. It doesn't stop when the Christmas lights come down. With the Salvation Army, your love lasts all year long. It puts a present under someone's tree today and a roof over someone's head tomorrow. It brightens Christmas morning and the hardest nights for hardworking families. Together, we can love beyond Christmas. Donate today to support local families all year long at samilwaukee.org.
ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta here for St. Kate the Arts Hotel. If you're looking to start the weekend right, head to Bubbles and Brunch at St. Kate the Arts Hotel. Every weekend from 9 to 1 in Giggly Champagne and Wine Bar, this brunch is anything but basic. The atmosphere is set with a local DJ spinning music to set the mood, while the hotel's acclaimed culinary team offers up a menu of elevated breakfast dishes. Add to the fun with endless mimosas. Experience a brunch that is anything but basic at Giggly Champagne and Wine Bar inside St. Kate the Arts Hotel. Reservations available online. Learn more by visiting stkatearts.com.
For the brave men and women of our United States military, it's been said,
Some gave all, but all gave some. Here at Tayback Law, we honor these sacrifices by working to ensure veterans receive the benefits they're entitled to. I'm Jim Brzezinski, partner and VA-accredited representative at Tayback Law. If you're a vet and have been wrongfully denied or feel that your condition was not properly evaluated by the VA, visit TaybackAttorneys.com to set up a free evaluation. At Tayback Law, we fight for those who fought for us. Contact Tayback for the payback. TaybackAttorneys.com.
You work hard and play by the rules, but that's not what your monopoly utility wants to do. Utilities are spending millions lobbying lawmakers for a special deal that will increase rates even more, putting corporate profits over consumers. Hard-working Wisconsin taxpayers deserve better. Call your state legislator today. Tell them to vote no on Assembly Bill 470 and Senate Bill 481, paid for by the Electricity Transmission Competition Coalition.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
Service, service, and more service.
It's part of our DNA.
And it's all we care about when we ask,
are you due for service?
And now that you are due for service, be sure to choose the auto repair shop that'll put you first.
Here at Richlands, customer service is at the very top of our list.
Just read some of the Google reviews about us.
They sort of tell a story along the lines of,
whether you need wheel alignment, tire replacement, or suspension work, bring it on into Richlands.
Because everything we do automatically comes with top-notch service.
After all, service, service, and more service is part of our DNA.
Google Richlands or go to richlands.com to schedule your appointment.
And remember, be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're
due for service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Tomorrow is Veterans Day, November 11th, and today many of you are off in observance of Veterans Day. And so it is appropriate, I feel, to bring up this topic because I really need some feedback on this. I'm not sure it's going to change how I go about my day, but it's making me think. I teach my kids to say thank you to soldiers, to officers, to people in uniform. Every time they see one, my husband does it, I do it. I believe that thank you can't be said enough. We believe that gratitude is important. And when someone is wearing a uniform, we go up to them and we say thank you. And it struck me to read this article that suggests that younger veterans feel uncomfortable when they're told thank you for their service. Ahead of Veterans Day on Saturday, a survey found major disparities between young military members and their older counterparts in how they prefer to be recognized for their service. Among younger military members and veterans aged 18 to 29, 70% said they feel uncomfortable or awkward when they are thanked for their service. Only 24% of older members, 65 years and up, say the same. And this was a poll performed by Endeavor Analytics and YouGov. This data shows that military service members and our veterans want Americans to go beyond small talk, to connect with them on a deeper level, including learning more about their service, honoring each veteran's service in ways in which they feel comfortable talking about. And this was a quote from retired Army Major General in the United States Service. And, when I saw that, I thought, oh, should I not be thanking a soldier? Should I not be thanking a veteran? Does that make people uncomfortable? 855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. And part of me thought, well, I'm still going to say thank you. I'm still going to tell my kids to say thank you and teach them the respect that I think the uniform deserves. But as a veteran, how does this make you feel? Do we need to be paying closer attention? Now, I know this is just one survey. This is just one poll. But I guess I can kind of see the generational divide. Members of the service, 18 to 29, 70% said they feel uncomfortable or awkward when they're thanked. And I know that soldiers aren't going into the military so that they can be thanked or wear the uniform or be above anyone else or stand out. Often they want to kind of fade in. I get it. But do we need to be thinking about how we acknowledge our service members? 855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. I don't know if I'm going to change. I don't know if this is an evolution. And I really hadn't thought about it till this point. I will say, anytime we would go up to someone in uniform or a veteran, there wasn't a lot of interaction. We didn't enter into a conversation. So maybe there was discomfort. Maybe we should have asked the next question. Tell me about your service. Tell me about what you did. Tell me about where you were deployed to. Sometimes people might just not want to talk. So do we need to change the way that we approach those in uniform and veterans in our society? 855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. When we return, I want to hear from you. Let me know. We have a couple of calls, a couple of texts, 855-616-1620. It's 1250 on WTMJ.
Congratulations to our very own Jeff Wagner, retiring after 25 years on WTMJ.
No show lasts forever. I'm going to be retiring from WTMJ at the end of this year.
But he's not done yet.
Congrats early on your retirement.
Well, I'm around for another 2 months. Can't get rid of me before December 15th.
Keep tuning in and don't miss out on our send-off to the one and only Jeff Wagner. We are Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620 WTMJ.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Do you hear that hissing sound? I think it's the sound of some steam being let out of the fall housing market. As the average 30-year fixed rate has crept toward 8%, some buyers have taken a break. Homes aren't selling on the first weekend anymore. Some are still selling over asking, but fewer and by not as much. Some sellers are even willing to chip in toward buyer closing costs to get their asking price. Now, do you hear that knocking sound? That's opportunity. Opportunity for well-prepared home shoppers. This dip in home buyer demand is not going to last, and mortgage rates are forecast to dip next year. Here's the best part. AccuNet can show you how to use a seller closing cost credit to lower your monthly payment by $100 or maybe even $200 a month for the first year or two while we wait for the refi window of opportunity to open, which we can typically accomplish with no loan costs. It's your choice, fear or opportunity. Click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com and become a confident, opportunistic, rock-solid home shopper. That's ACCUNET.com.
Siding Unlimited named the best window installers, not just here, but in the whole USA. Get the best. Siding Unlimited, 3-time winner as America's best window installer. For windows, you call Siding Unlimited first and directly. SidingUnlimited.com.
I'm Randy from All Right Home and Remodeling. Did you know that ROI and exterior home improvements are some of the highest? Some sources say new vinyl siding nets 76% ROI and stone veneer is over 100%. Chances are you've seen your property value increase pretty significantly in the past few years. Want to increase it even more and improve curb appeal? Beautify your home's exterior. There's some great tax breaks to take advantage of too. Call us today to set up a free consultation or visit ALLRITE-remodeling.com.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here. Are you thinking about remodeling your bath or shower? Well, now's the perfect time to save on design and remodeling with Kohler Services, a family-owned business for 150 years. Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer, offering fast, professional installation and care for life. For 2 weeks only, Kohler Services is offering $1,500 off your shower or bath remodel from now until November 15th. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with installation always included. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Welcome back on WTMJ. That is Huey Lewis. I know this is not a radio station, but that song, Walking on a Thin Line. Okay, first of all, Huey Lewis is my guy. He's like my favorite of all time. And that song, I just learned, is about veterans and the Vietnam veteran soldiers who came back and just kind of walked around and just didn't feel welcome. And, he just celebrated them. I just love that song. So I don't know if that's a little known fun fact for all of you Huey Lewis and the News fans. So should we still thank our veterans, even though a study suggests that young veterans aged 18 to 39 feel uncomfortable with the recognition? Jerry in West Allis, you're on WTMJ.
I'm an Air Force veteran. I was in for 5 years in the 60s, and I spent a year in Korea in 68, whatever.
Thank you.
When I got out of the Air Force, you're welcome. When I got out of the Air Force and came back to Milwaukee, nobody said anything at all, nothing. As a matter of fact, Vietnam was very unpopular, and we were held almost in negatives.
Yep.
So when people today are offering thanks for our service, I think most anybody in the military, which is a very professional, everything's done professionally. To take in the new people, for example, to take in nice strokes from other people about being in the Air Force or whatever, military, I think they're trying to show their professionalism. And I felt a little awkward when people started telling me, thanks for your service, but I kind of got over that pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I also want to have a shout out to the Veterans Hospital here in Milwaukee, which is, I think, just an outstanding veterans hospital in the country. I've been in there many, many times for different things. I wasn't a patient. But I think with the young people today, it might be that they're taught to be very formal and professional. As a military person, everything's precise, and they may not understand that it's okay to accept a pat on the back.
Yes.
For what they've done. I also think that there's an awful lot of post-traumatic stress syndrome out there, and I wish the younger people would value the resources they might have. And when people do give them a pat on the back, I think it would help with the post-traumatic stress syndrome. I used to be a teacher, and I had some veterans in my class, and one of them didn't make it to class on a Monday morning, and he was there the next week. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "No, I tried to kill myself last week."
Oh, Jerry.
And I said, "What? What?"
Well, and that may be, these young people in some of the further kind of, if you dig into the numbers and you dig into the content, they're saying, ask me the next question, ask me about my service, ask me what I saw. And that's unlike many of our maybe older veterans. My grandfather was World War II, and he never talked about it. He wouldn't talk about it.
Neither did my father-in-law.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I was in Korea in 68, I had to come back to California for a year in the military in 69. And when I went to the officers club, having a couple beers with all these different people, especially all the nurses, we had a ton of nurses there, they didn't want to hear about what was going on in Vietnam or Korea.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hear the details of where the devil is in details.
Yeah. Yeah. Jerry,
they didn't want to hear all that.
Thank you so much for the call. And I think you gave us a good context. And, I'm glad that we can add that kind of to this story. So thank a soldier, thank a veteran early, thank a veteran often, and maybe ask them that next question. Jerry, again, thank you for your service. And thank you for that shout out to our VA hospital right here in Milwaukee. Chris in Cedarburg, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, good afternoon. My husband was a drill sergeant in Fort Benning, Georgia, and he presents gold and blue star flags in Cedarburg and wherever else, someone is in need. And I think it's better to be safe than sorry and recognize people. There's only been one time where maybe I've thanked somebody and they kind of wave you off like they don't want to hear it. But the majority of them, say, no, thank you, or I did this for you, or, it's just, I just think it's better to do it.
Yes.
better to be safe than
sorry.
You know,
Chris, thank you for the call, and thank your husband for his service. Again, we can't thank our veterans early and often enough. I know it's something that I would never do. I have not done. And I haven't had to think about this in a long time. It's selfless, and I teach my kids. My husband is actually a huge influence in this to just make sure we go out of our way and thank them. One texter makes, I think, a very good point about some of these younger veterans and why they might be uncomfortable. And perhaps it's because they interact so much on social media. And so they actually don't have as much face-to-face interaction. And it's just a different day and age. I think Jerry brought up a good point about some post-traumatic stress syndrome, disorder, PTSD, mental health issues. These are huge concerns in the veterans community. And I'm glad that we can talk about that. And I'm glad that we can talk about solutions and that there's funding for solutions and that this is not like post-Vietnam. This is a day and age when we should thank a soldier, thank a veteran, thank anyone who had anything to do with service. On this Veterans Day, we'll return. We might take one or two more calls, but then I have a great resource, a little resource that I found for all the veterans celebrating this weekend. It's 12:59 on WTMJ.
Right now, the prices of diamonds are probably the lowest we'll see in our lifetime.
Diamond prices are low, low, low. Here's why.
It was hard to meet new people during COVID.
When a person meets their soulmate, they usually get engaged about 39 months later.
People started dating again only about 36 months ago.
Most of the people who got engaged during COVID
or immediately after COVID
were already in a relationship before the COVID lockdown began.
The Wall Street Journal even published a story about all of this.
Low sales of engagement rings created a worldwide oversupply of diamonds.
But now, engagement ring sales are beginning to pick up again.
By the end of next spring, this temporary oversupply will be gone.
And diamond prices will start climbing like crazy.
If you ever wanted to own a big diamond, this is the year to do it.
Find the Kesslers nearest you
and see our extended holiday hours
at KesslersDiamonds.com.
If you want to own a big diamond, the time is now.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
Keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon, 1 o'clock. We have 44 degrees, cloudy skies, decreasing cloudiness tonight with a low 32. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber.
It is for you to determine which one of the forms of verdict submitted you will bring in as your verdict.
Judge David Swanson sending the jury to deliberation on the fifth and expected final day of Michael Mattioli's homicide trial. The jury now deciding whether or not to find Mattioli guilty of first-degree reckless homicide in the 2020 death of Joel Acevedo, who died 6 days after a house party at Mattioli's residence. The jury will deliberate over 3 forms of verdict. Of course, we'll have more on this throughout the day right here on WTMJ. A Milwaukee man's been sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for sex trafficking. 36-year-old Jaron Jackson pled guilty to trafficking 2 15-year-old victims and transporting child pornography. He was arrested on an Amtrak train coming to Wisconsin from Illinois. After serving a sentence, Jackson will face 10 years of supervised release and has to register as a sex offender. The countdown to a possible government shutdown begins again, leaving Congress just 7 days to come up with an agreement that will keep the doors open past the 17th. It's the first big test for new House Speaker Mike Johnson, and as ABC's political correspondent Rachel Bade notes, he's not very vocal about what he intends to do.
Everybody's watching new Speaker Mike Johnson, sort of waiting to see what he's going to do. He hasn't weighed in. He hasn't said what he wants. And I've heard from sources that he's really struggling with this, actually, because he doesn't want to disappoint Republicans in his conference and just, pass a clean CR like Democrats want. But if he embraces the tactics that they want to see, we could see a potential shutdown that hurts the Republican majority.
The Israel-Hamas war is in its 35th day as Israeli troops move deeper into Gaza. Israel's agreed to daily 4-hour pauses in fighting, which President Biden calls a step in the right direction. Hamas claims Israel struck the territory's largest hospital. The IDF says it doesn't target hospitals, but says if it sees Hamas, it will take action. CBS News contributor Robert Berger explains what he's hearing from Jerusalem.
There was a 6-hour pause today, which is basically opening a humanitarian corridor for Palestinians to move from northern Gaza, which is the center of the fighting, which is where Shifa Hospital and those other hospitals are, and to move those civilians south.
A U.S. military branch turns 248 years old today. The U.S. Marine Corps, born in a Philadelphia tavern during the Revolutionary War on this day in 1775. While Veterans Day is observed on November 11th, the few and the proud celebrate November 10th as their own birthday. Expect to see more bell ringers from the Salvation Army soon.
Community members and leaders filled the public market for the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign kickoff. Mayor Cavalier Johnson encouraged charity.
We're entering the season of giving. We should all find ways to give. We should give certainly through the Red Kettle campaign.
The new Tap to Give feature was unveiled, allowing digital donations. Major Trevor McClintock explained how it came about.
You've been able to get your coffee and donuts from the gas station with just a tap of your credit card. It's kind of a natural next step for the Salvation Army.
Jack Grau, WTMJ News.
Salvation Army has a goal of $4 million in donations this season. Milwaukee residents with leaves getting a break. The city announcing the Department of Public Works will pick up leaves on the street till Sunday, November 26th. The 11-day extension will allow residents with late leaf-dropping trees to get them collected. On average, the city collects 15,000 tons of leaves per year to be converted to nutrient-rich compost. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is now up over 307 points. The S&P 500 is up 56. The Nasdaq Composite is up 241. Ready for investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary? Go to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button now. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Now these tend to fly off the shelves. But don't worry, because our connection supplies us with a lot of them. Vintage ceiling tiles from once great old buildings in New York City that make for ultra-unique artwork. These items are definitely hard to find from anywhere else around here. So come take a look, and you'll probably find a treasure. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Are you ready to hit the road this Thanksgiving season? Before you embark on your holiday journey, make sure your car is in tip-top shape with our special Thanksgiving offer. At Griffin, we've got your back. We're offering you an ultimate Thanksgiving treat, a full-service package for just $179.95. Here's what you get. We'll change your oil, inspect and rotate your tires, replace the air filter and wiper blades, give your car a complete multi-point inspection, check the battery, and make sure your heat is toasty warm for those chilly Thanksgiving travels. Don't risk car trouble on your way to Grandma's house or your long-awaited holiday getaway. Let Griffin ensure your car is in perfect condition so you can focus on what really matters this Thanksgiving, spending time with your loved ones. Don't miss out on the amazing offer. Visit one of Griffin's 5 service departments for details and restrictions. Griffin, your trusted partner on the road. Happy Thanksgiving from our family to yours.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Giannis scored an NBA season-high 54 points, but committed 2 late turnovers late, and the Indiana Pacers beat the Milwaukee Bucks by a final score of 126-124 on Thursday night. With the loss, the Bucks falling to 5-3 on their season and will be back to work on Saturday night in Orlando. Over to the NFL, where the Bears knocked off the Panthers to kick off Week 10 with the Thursday night win by a final score of 16-13. Chicago with the win, improving to 3-7 on their season. 2 college hoops, where the Wisconsin men's basketball team will welcome in the number 9 team ranked in the country, the Tennessee Volunteers, tonight at the Kohl Center. That tip-off is all scheduled for 8 p.m. And lastly, the Green Bay Packers are just days away from their Week 10 matchup in Pittsburgh. On Thursday afternoon, the Packers were back out on the practice field. Still no Jair Alexander or Quay Walker for the Pack. However, John Runyon Jr. and Yosh Nijman did return to practice. Kickoff for Steelers-Packers is all set for noon on Sunday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. The delays are starting to stack up on I-43 southbound Brown Deer Road to downtown. There are some construction closures in that area, mostly ramps, a shoulder, and a lane closed as well. Normally about an 11-minute drive. That's going to take you about twice as long this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Harwood Place Senior Living. Learn more about Harwood Place Retirement Living's newly renovated apartments and updated pricing options. Visit harwoodplace.org or call to schedule a tour.
A WTMJ 5-day forecast. Cloudy the rest of the afternoon, high 45, and then decreasing cloudiness tonight with a low 32. Sunshine tomorrow with a high 47. Some sun, some clouds on Sunday, high 54. Sunny and mild Monday and Tuesday, highs 57 to 58. Right now in Madison, 41. Green Bay, 43. Milwaukee, 44. I'm Connie Weber. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now filling in for Jeff Wagner, here's Tracy Johnson.
Great to have you with us on this Friday afternoon. I will be here till 3 today on this day before Veterans Day, when many of you are celebrating or off in observance of Veterans Day, I should say. And we were kind of digging into this study that was released, suggesting that young military members and veterans age 18 to 29 were uncomfortable with the acknowledgement. And a number of texters are just suggesting that times are different now. Their experiences are different now. I can't forget to acknowledge the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, all the veterans of the wars. We can't thank them enough. At least that's the way that I look at it. But when I see this study that says this is making people uncomfortable, I wonder, is there a different or better approach that we can be taking? Valerie in Milwaukee, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Yes.
I'm a nurse, and I've dealt with many generations of our veterans. And one of the things I think that has changed this whole attitude, where the older ones don't discuss things, where the younger ones want to discuss what happened. Mm-hmm. A lot has to do with the access the public has.
Sure.
The public now has access to see the videos of the war. Unfortunately, we've seen decapitations.
Yes.
It's all out there for us to see. So we have a better understanding of what they've been through. And yes, they're uncomfortable, but at the same time, I've noticed the more you kind of encourage them, it actually helps them.
Mm-hmm.
They love to be thanked, but they would also like, is there anything I can do to help you?
Yes. And in this kind of study, one of the takeaways was to suggest that we ask the next question. We dig a little deeper. We don't just look at the uniform and just make any sort of assumption, but that they want to engage and they want to talk about their experience, especially at these younger levels. I think that's great perspective, Valerie. Thank you.
I have one other thing to add.
Sure.
Okay. The other thing I want to add is what also helps is the young kids, like my grandson, since he was 2 years old, has been thanking veterans, anyone they see, because then they know, and they're not ready to hear the stories, but they feel more comforted that these little ones are proud to say thank you. They appreciate what they've been through. They appreciate it. And like I said, I've always had my grandkids, my kids and all that, always thank veterans and officers, because we have a better understanding of what they've been through, but we still cannot truly understand, and talking to them will help them feel better.
That's a great story and a great reminder that the influence that you can have. I know thank you, Valerie. When my kids were growing up, we used to have to kind of nudge them and, go say thank you. Don't forget to say thank you. And now they just do it on their own. They're 10 and 13. And it makes me as a mom so proud to see them just take that control and to have a better understanding of what happened and what sacrifices these people made for our country and for the lives that we have here and now today. I want to move to another topic, but before I do that, I wanted to share a few resources that I came across. And usually we don't do kind of open line, kind of, tell us your resources, all of that. But the USA Today posted a 2023 Veterans Day deals. And it goes through a couple of things. It really will highlight the companies that want to give back or give a token of thanks to our veterans. Although I know veterans don't expect this, but I think it's great that these companies at least make the effort. So I'm just going to read through a few. And if you want to look it up, it's USA Today. I believe it's from yesterday. And it just kind of goes through like 35 or 40 different companies and organizations that have deals going on through the weekend. Office Depot, 25% discount. Dunkin' Donuts has free donuts. Krispy Kreme has some coffee. You've got Starbucks. They've got a free coffee deal. They're also going to be donating $100,000 to a number of military and veterans organizations. So I think that's a good one to keep an eye on. There's a number of other restaurants and other coffee places. California Pizza Kitchen, free meal and drink. Anyway, I think it's a great thing that our country and these various companies will do the best that they can in the best way that they know how to say thank you for your service. And a reminder, and we've heard it from our texters, we've heard it from our callers, to ask the next question if the opportunity presents itself, but to always be safer rather than sorry, and go ahead and say that thanks. Shake their hands, salute them. Be proud to be an American. It's 1:14 right now. I'm Tracy Johnson, in for Jeff Wagner.
While you rest on the weekends, we work for you. Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News with Libby Collins. The latest in news.
Time to check in with Mark Cass, editor-in-chief of the Milwaukee Business Journal.
There's a big need for money in Milwaukee.
Entertainment.
Matt Miller from OnMilwaukee.com.
I've had enough Aaron Rodgers to last me a lifetime.
And more.
We got a busy show today.
Every Sunday morning starting at 8 on WTMJ.
What I was told was bone on bone. I was going to have knee replacement, and I do not like surgery.
Desperate to avoid surgery, Julie decided to check out QC Kinetics non-surgical regenerative treatments.
My daughter actually works in a Chapel Hill, North Carolina lab, and I sent her all of the information that I was given, and she's like, "Oh, Mom, this is for you. I've heard great things about this." She's like, "You need to try it before ever doing surgery."
Julie started the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments right in the office, using her own healing properties to help restore her damaged tissue.
I know, my daughter was right. Yeah, it's nice when you've got that person you can go to who might have a little bit more information, especially on the science of it. QC Kinetics, it's life-changing.
Find out if you're a good candidate. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Is outdoor living limited at your place? Well, imagine a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen in your yard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. And they're the best. Let them make Outdoor Living Unlimited in your yard like they did in ours. We are Wisconsin. We live outdoors as much as possible. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Old National Bank.
I just got your home equity loan, and this feeling of joy and exhilaration overcame me.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon we call getting old.
Wow, so I'm not the only one?
No, small business owners feel it with expansion loans. Families feel it when they're setting up trusts and 529s. Nonprofits who need financing to help the community. And anyone who needs investment advice, they all feel it.
So it's not just me?
No, you're in a pretty big club.
Like a club I can join?
I really don't.
Is there at least a secret handshake?
Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Old National. Get old. Member FDIC.
117 on WTMJ. That last segment just made me feel good about this community and about our country. We had one other caller suggest that one other way to show your gratitude to a veteran is if you see them out, buy them a beer, pay for their meal. I mean, just do whatever you can to acknowledge their sacrifice and what they gave for our country. So we will never forget our veterans, and we might have a couple more veterans pieces throughout the day this November 10th, the day before Veterans Day 2023. Switching gears, the food delivery economy in our country has exploded over the past 3 to 4 years since COVID. People didn't leave their homes and they ordered out a lot. Delivery services like DoorDash popped up and have become, I think, their own economy, an app-based economy. In some cities, the delivery drivers are getting a living wage, $25 an hour. There have been fights in New York demanding for these wages, these set wages for people who deliver food from the restaurant to the consumer. The way they are paid is by the restaurant that they deliver for, and then a fee in form of a tip from the customer. And as I mentioned, this is all done through an online app. The restaurants need the dashers. That's what they're called, the door dashers. And the customers need the product and they need the dasher. So this is like this little ecosystem and this little economy. And there was some controversy when it was stated that the food ordering app sent a warning to users that not tipping their delivery driver could mean waiting longer for their meal. It suggests that dashers can pick and choose which orders they want to do. And, they basically can look at the app, they can see the order, they can see the location, but they can also see how much the customer has tipped, the tip before the service is provided. And I was discussing this topic with producer Aaron, and he said, well, I know all about this. I am a dasher. Aaron, did I get the facts here right?
Yeah, I think you pretty much checked every box there, yeah.
Is it really like that? If you see that somebody doesn't give you a tip, are you less likely to pick up their order?
So there's a lot of different things going on as a dasher. Like you are taking into account the fact that you want to keep your acceptance rating up, which is how many of the orders that get sent to you do you actually accept. And
I can see that as a consumer. I can see what the likelihood is.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And the same thing goes for customer ratings, so you want to keep those as high as you can. So really, I know when I first started dashing, I took every single order that came my way. I didn't care. There is a feature that after you've been dashing for a while, you can earn by time. So it doesn't matter what the tip is, really. If you're dashing for 30 minutes, you'll get half of, I think it's $13.75 per hour, so you'll get like a $6-7 tip, no matter what, which is not a customer tip. That's just what DoorDash is giving you. But yeah, you absolutely have the leeway to decline any order that comes your way.
Do you think it's a good thing that DoorDash basically said, if you don't tip our driver, let's just say you wanted to give a tip in cash. Do you think it's good that they kind of came out ablazing and said, the higher you tip, the more likely it is that the dasher is going to bring your food?
I mean,
is that like extortion?
It might be, but I think that it's a thing to be aware of as somebody that's ordering DoorDash. Like now you know that you have a better chance of getting your food quicker and probably in a more timely manner if you did tip a little bit more. But also before I DoorDashed, I was a delivery driver for a pizza place back home years ago. And I always thought that the in-person cash tip was very reasonable. I think I kind of believe, earn it. You have to show me the service. And when I think that you've done a good job, here's $5-10, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and that's always what I thought. I thought tip was really kind of after the fact. Wow, you did a great job. You went above and beyond. That's usually how I look at tipping. But this whole thing, tipping before you receive the service I just can't get my head around it, especially because in the situation with a DoorDash, you don't have very much control over 70% of the operation here, right? I mean, what if the food is cold? What if the kitchen is backed up at the restaurant? And that's why it takes an hour to get my food.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had that many times. There's no doubt customers, reaching out to me and saying what's taking so long. And I'm sitting in the restaurant. They're all backed up. They only have 2 people back there cooking or whatever it is, And that's why I bring up the earn by time thing, because if, say I was sitting in a restaurant that was backed up for 30 minutes and you gave me a $3 tip, then I'm going to make $3 for most of that hour, right? But if I'm earning by time, 30 minutes in that restaurant sitting there waiting for the food, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm still getting paid, and I'm not worried about it.
So they talked about, or I believe DoorDash and a number of the other kind of delivery companies, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and all of those, they talked about doing kind of that set wage. Do you think that's a good business model? Or do you really think people hustle more and are incentivized on your end as a DoorDasher to do better work for the customer if you're motivated by that tip?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm going to try and do the same thing every time.
Well, that's because you're you.
That's just me. I know I've seen it, though. I've seen DoorDashers that, you gave me $2. Well, I'm going to give you a $2 service,
Oh, what does that mean? Okay, what's the difference between $8 service and $2 service?
Maybe you needed some gas and you thought you could maybe get through this next delivery, and now suddenly you're thinking, I'll get that gas.
Wow.
I'm not too worried about it, So like stuff. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like a DoorDasher has to go talk to a boss when they get back to the proverbial restaurant. Like it doesn't exist. We're in our car the whole time, so there's really nobody to respond to other than the customer.
Wow, you heard it here. They actually will, stop and do that errand, stop in by grandma and say hi. Or
yeah, I might have just popped the DoorDash balloon right there.
Oh my God, no. I mean, it's fully documented. But yeah, I do think that tipping afterwards is just a much, much better model. It just makes me so much more comfortable. But I'm also, from like a generational standpoint, that's exactly what I'm used to. Yeah. All right, you heard it here, the Dasher. So do you think this is the best way for the future? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Does this make you think differently about ordering your food via DoorDash? I mean, this is like everybody does it. This is a real thing. This economy, this job type is not going away. But is this the best for the future? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We'll take your calls and reaction when we return.
New season, new coach.
There's art to looking good out there on the floor.
Same old Giannis.
Euro stepping through everybody and then slashes his way all the way in for an easy layup. Easy for Giannis, not for the mere mortal.
Catch every slam, every jam.
So that is stealing candy from the baby as he flushes it through with a two-hand jam.
And every swish.
And he cans another.
All season long on your home of the Milwaukee Bucks. 620 WTMJ.
What's the way to build your wealth?
I want to talk about annuities and variable life insurance policies. And I'm going to come right out and say that I've never been a fan of either. In fact, in over 30 years, I have rarely recommended annuities to clients. And in that same time, I've never recommended a variable life insurance policy. Now, it's always a matter of opinion, and there are 2 sides to every story. I just want to make sure that you've heard both sides for both options. So if you're looking at those types of products, give us a call, because it's prudent to hear all sides. At the very least, we can give you the pros and cons and help you make a good decision. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., a fee-only, comprehensive financial planning firm, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Attention value hunters, save on new Black Friday Now deals this week at Fleet Farm. Enjoy 20% off select sizes of our chocolate candies. Get a Food Saver vacuum sealing system for just $69.99. Stay warm and cozy with Mega Warmer 10-packs, 2 for $10. And stock up on softwood fuel pellets, 2 bags for only $11. Save big on everything you need for everyday life at Fleet Farm.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health has Medicare Advantage plans that give you $25 a month back towards your Medicare Part B premium? That's $300 a year back in your pocket. Isn't that great? Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal. Certain restrictions apply to the Part B giveback. Visit networkhealth.com/Medicare/extra benefits for details.
Great to be with you on this Friday afternoon. I've been alerted that the jury is reaching its decision in the Mattioli trial happening. So we may just cut live at some point, just so you know. I'm not sure I'm going to see it coming. But as a news station, we always want to bring you that news live. But we are still having some fun here talking about DoorDash. One of the texters suggests, like, if you don't want to pay the tip, if you don't want to pay for it, go get it yourself. And I will tell you, that is usually what I do, because if I can do it myself, I don't want to pay somebody to do it. I mean, if I'm going to wait an hour, either way, I may as well get out and get some fresh air. All right, Joe in South Milwaukee, you're on WTMJ.
Hi. So I guess I have a different perspective.
Yes.
You know, my son is a DoorDasher, and I'm on the receiving end as a DoorDasher customer. And, you know, I've gone out with him a few times just to see how it works.
Yes.
The DoorDashers are not responsible for the food. They can't open up the packages. Whether somebody missed a product in there. A lot of people think they are, but they're not.
Right.
And my son, no matter if he's paid by the hour or by the tipping plan that they have, he gives the best service. It doesn't matter whether that's a $2 tip in the end or an $8 tip in the end. And I look at it as a convenience, like you said. You know, either go get it yourself or pay the $5 for somebody to deliver it to your house. And whether they do a standard tip and they put that on the top or whatever, it's probably better for the dashers, because some of these, like Walgreens pickups and that, there's no tips. And if they're not on the hourly, they're barely making anything.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective. It almost sounds like DoorDash, by making this comment, is maybe doing more harm than good. I think people that get into this business, people that get into the independent contractor business, they're hustlers.
Right.
At least that's what I've observed. Right. So they're going to do good work.
They are.
Thank you for the call. You know, I think.
Thank you.
Yes, this is a fascinating discussion. We could take this in 55 different directions, but at the end of the day, it is just the world we live in. That every service is there's this thought. I mean, it's almost an expectation that there's going to be a tip. And you're seeing a lot of discussion around confusion. How much do I tip? You know, if you go and you buy a $2 coffee, the screen might say, okay, do you want to tip them $1, $5, or $10? Or sometimes it's a percentage. Sometimes it calculates that out. But, you know, there's not that people can't do basic math, but it's like, what is the expectation? And the fact that the person behind the counter is looking right at that. And I get it. You want to project that you're going to take care of this person. They are a service worker, and we love our service workers. You know, but sometimes if I go to a Starbucks and I buy a bottled water, am I supposed to tip them? I mean, the expectation is that I do it, and I usually do. And if I don't, I always kind of apologize. I'm like, am I supposed to tip you? Like, you make $12 an hour, right? Like, it's very uncomfortable. And so much so that it's causing kind of this generational divide. You know, older people, older generations, those 55 and over, I'd say 45 and older, myself included, you know, we're used to tipping after the fact. You give me good service, I got your back. I am going to take care of you. You know, but we have that expectation. And younger people, I think, have just been brought up to do the 20%. I feel like with so much discussion happening in this space, something's got to give. I know cities like Chicago have joined a number of other cities where they're not getting away from tipping, but what they're doing is moving towards a more universal wage for everyone in the service sector. and then they're still going to ask for that tip, but it's going to raise the cost of everything. I think consumers are going to see that, and they're going to look at their purchase differently and say, I think they're making enough. I think this is included. So there's a lot of confusion, not just with different companies, but in different cities across the country. Great discussion. Love it. When we come back, is a college education worth it? There's some new data that really struck my attention. And in a day and age when college loan debt is at an all-time high, people need to think, and people are thinking more critically about that question. It's 1:32 on WTMJ.
It's WTMJ's Steve Scafidi for Panoramic CBD. Whether you're looking to reduce anxiety, pain, depression, or just need to relax, Panoramic CBD has the best products for everyone's needs. They farm, process, test, and package their own CBD products, hence the slogan from soil to oil. By overseeing every stage of the process, Panoramic CBD eliminates the middleman, ensuring unmatched quality throughout. To offer you the best CBD products at the best prices for you and your pets. Shop local. Shop Wisconsin. From soil to oil, PanoramicCBD.com.
I love the Fox and Hounds. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The historic restaurant was recently voted the best supper club in the area. First opened in 1933, and they've been serving fabulous dinners for almost 90 years in their rustic timber structure. The Friday codfish fry is all you care to eat. It's $17.99. All other dinners are buy one, get one free. And the best part of the meal, I think, is the made-from-scratch desserts. Also, buy one, get one free. I love the peanut butter cake. Oh, my gosh, that pie is fantastic. Add a Manhattan, an old-fashioned, 100 wines to accent your dinner. The Fox and Hounds is family-owned and one of the most unique and affordable supper clubs in Wisconsin. Your second dinner is always free. Just off Highway 167, 2 miles east and in the shadows of the beautiful Holy Hill Shrine. As the seasons change colors, the drive is just beautiful, a must-see. Enjoy the all-you-care-to-eat Friday codfish fry, and the Sunday brunch is delicious. Tables are still open. Reserve now at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com.
We asked people why they sold their homes to Grandview Homes instead of using a real estate agent.
We looked at a few businesses that purchase homes, and Grandview seemed to be the one that had it together. Not only did we receive a fair offer, but we were able to take as much time as we needed and could leave the house a mess.
Whether you have a hard-to-sell home, want a stress-free sale, or simply need to sell your home fast, Grandview Homes is the name you know and the name you can trust. Visit GrandviewHomes.com to discover the easiest and fastest way to sell a home.
So are college degrees worth it? Student loan debt in the U.S. is at $1.77 trillion. That is a stunning number, not to mention all of the debt that is still kind of in flux. Is it going to be paid? Who's going to pay it? All that kind of stuff. And many young people right now say that they're underemployed. At the same time, businesses are saying that they don't always seek college graduates like they used to. In fact, a recent survey suggests that 69% of hiring managers surveyed said that graduating college students don't enter the workforce with the relevant skills that business and society needs. Also in the survey, 86% of those businesses said they prefer a job candidate with 4 years of experience in the field over someone with a 4-year college degree. So why is there so much emphasis on college? Or will this be changing as there is more and more of a focus on specialized jobs or trades or tech jobs moving forward? Are kids now afraid of college debt? Are parents saying enough is enough? I don't know how we can possibly save or pay for this, especially if the student doesn't know exactly what they want to get into. Why are we spending our time and spending our money? So is a college degree really the way of the future? Especially as we look around and we see so many people struggling to fit into the right jobs because the job landscape is changing, because the world is changing, because the way that people pay for college is changing, and because the expectations, I think, are just much different than they were just 20 years ago. It might not be all they thought that it would be. I know in our house, my husband and I are college graduates, and, in many of the people we talk to, of course, they're going to look at college. But I think this is going to change over the next 4 years. Maybe there's a gap year. Maybe there's a technical opportunity, tech college opportunity. And I think more and more parents and more families are thinking like that. So is a college degree really worth it? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. And especially as more and more employers are saying, you know what, I might not need you to have that piece of paper, because at the end of the day, I'm going to need you to do this, 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 and this. And when you went for your college degree, they didn't teach you any of that. So we're going to have to invest the time and resources, whether you got that college degree or not. Now, I'm not an advocate for just saying, don't go to college. I'm just saying, how are we going to be looking at this in the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years? In Minnesota, the governor, the governor of Minnesota, I should say, missing his name here. He just signed into law a piece of legislation that dropped college degree requirements for many jobs, many of the state jobs. He said, these are specialized jobs. These are jobs that, we need to fill. There's an urgency. And so I have the power and the ability to do this. And we're not going to be requiring that people have a college degree anymore. His name is Tim Walz, by the way. He signed an executive order citing that the barriers to job opportunities faced by the state, including that some job postings state that a college degree is required, even if a degree is not necessarily needed to succeed in the job. So he said you can't post jobs like that anymore. According to the governor's office, the new executive order will affect more than 75% of state jobs, opening up employment opportunities for non-degreed individuals and attracting more people to take careers with the state. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Yeah, well, it's government. They can do what they want, or these are government jobs, and this is, creating additional competition for the private sector. But there are a lot of national corporations that are doing the same thing. General Motors, Google, Delta Airlines, Bank of America, IBM, and Tesla have dropped the requirement of a college degree for some jobs that had previously required it. So how are we thinking about this? And is a college degree going to be as important in 5 years as it is today, or it was 5 years ago? I see the sands shifting. 855-616-1620 on the Old National Bank talk and text line. COVID may have had a lot to do with it. The fact that we became disconnected from our physical campuses. And so much of the college experience is about that camaraderie and the opportunity to network and be in a different environment. So is it the way of the future 5 years from now? 855-616-1620 on the Old National Bank talk and text line. It's 1:40. I'm Tracy Johnson in for Jeff on WTMJ.
The following takes place in the home of a Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric customer.
This furnace is in bad shape, Jason.
It's okay. That's what a beyondification is for. Merle, hand me that wrench. Yep, we're going to recalibrate it back to like new condition.
I'm working on the deep clean right now.
Okay, Merle, jump on the comprehensive safety check.
How's that beyondification coming, guys?
Going well, Laura. We'll have Miss Taylor's furnace purring away at maximum efficiency in no time.
Saving her money on energy bills every month.
And extending the life of her furnace.
That'll save her even more money.
Way beyond the standard tune-up.
And it's the best thing you can do to prepare your home.
Because winter is coming.
Okay, guys, we have another beyondification right down the street when you're done.
Roger that. Merle, hand me the drill.
Call Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric today to schedule your furnace beyondification or schedule online at callcapitalcares.com.
This is Brad Yumbert with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. There's a lot of fluff around window sales, but what really matters is the type of people you choose to have working for you. That's why I want to highlight Semper Fi's own CJ Callies. He's been selling, measuring, installing, and managing window installations for 35 plus years. He has a depth of knowledge that allows him to see problems before they happen, and I swear, I think the guy can see behind walls. He's easy to work with, and I can't think of a customer who hasn't liked working with him, and he really is the kind of guy you're going to want on your job. CJ's in charge of our entire window and door division, and you can be assured he's going to have his hands on your project. Most companies focus on the product. At Semper Fi, we focus on our people and you, and that's never let us down. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlawns.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here. Are you thinking about remodeling your bath or shower? Well, now's the perfect time to save on design and remodeling with Kohler Services, a family-owned business for 150 years. Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer, offering fast, professional installation and care for life. For 2 weeks only, Kohler Services is offering $1,500 off your shower or bath remodel from now until November 15th. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with installation always included. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Greg Scalzo for Smart Spaces. How can Smart Spaces transform your business?
Really looking at the entire space holistically. The environment, the walls, ceilings, lighting, flooring, furniture, technology, along with acoustics.
To conceptualize how the end users are going to interact with the room, from the furniture all the way down to the AV, having that work seamlessly within the environment and often hiding within the furniture.
Let Smart Spaces transform your business today. Visit smartspaceswi.com.
144 on WTMJ. Is a college degree worth it? We're exploring that question as we see that Americans have racked up $1.7 trillion in student loan debt. We've got a lot of underemployed youth. And we have a number of businesses who say, I will take somebody with 4 years of experience over someone with a 4-year degree. We also see at the same time companies like Google, Tesla, Delta, and even states, including Minnesota, who have dropped the requirement of a college degree for many jobs. Which makes me question, is it worth it? As somebody who went to college decades ago, I think it's probably changed a lot. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to go to college where I got to learn about the world. I got to be independent. I learned about so many things that I would never have access to. Taught me to think critically, think like an adult, think independently. But employers are suggesting that maybe that experience could be gained somewhere else. So is a college degree worth it? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We have a number of texts here. Some people think it's useless. It depends on the degree. It depends on the degree, obviously, but that's why we have good counselors. I will say I went into college wanting to study one thing, and my counselor said, you might be better off here, and you might have more economic opportunity here. This is what the landscape looks like. So from my perspective, it was absolutely worth it. But when I look across the landscape and see so much need in the tech field, in manufacturing, in high-skilled jobs, it makes me think about it. It makes me think about it a great deal, especially as I have 2 young children who, I don't know what the world's going to be like in a few years. I think it depends on where you are, where you live, what your family member did. I mean, so many careers, whether they're in business or in manufacturing or in the trades or in teaching or anything like that. They're generational. It's passed down. We're seeing across the country the number of students enrolled, not just in undergraduate studies, but in MBA programs as well. These numbers are down across the country. I think it's not just a matter of economics. It's a matter of, are these institutions and are these degrees really valued by the end user, who are the employers at the end of the day? Mo in Milwaukee, you're on WTMJ.
Yes, hello.
Hi. What do you think?
How you doing?
Good.
I think it's not worth it.
Okay.
From personal experience, I do have 2 master's degree and a PhD in education, especially in sports marketing. And I feel like after I spent over 16 years after my high school, it's not worth it. It's not taking me, because my hope and my dream is once I graduate and I have my PhD, my doctorate degree, that would be that's it. And I set my life and my family and stuff, but I end up, when I look to the market,
yes,
I wish I went to an associate's college for a 2-year program that pays off way better than an education.
Yeah.
And the reason I called is I think there is a problem in some I don't know who should be in charge to evaluate and assist some program that, like online program, you spend a lot of money, you be in a lot of debt, and you end up, it's not creditable, it's not
Yes.
like employer don't look at it good.
Yep.
And students will not gain any skills, educational skills, a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Mo, thanks for the call. It sounds, some people say, yes, absolutely. But in Mo's case, for example, like many with, additional degrees, so he has a PhD. I mean, that's a whole nother level. I mean, when you spend 16 years in school, you better know what you're going for. And you better end up with a job that you studied to prepare. So this continued question, especially in a day and age when people's jobs and their degrees are so mismatched, I think this is going to continue to be a question that many people look at. Are my dollars being invested wisely? And is this how I want my kids to start out their career? I know as someone who did go to college, I was able to graduate in 4 years. That's just what we did at the time when I went. Now I hear people going 5-6 years. Lots of reasons for that. Most of it doesn't have to do with the quality of the student. Most of it has to do with the access to the programs, or perhaps some of the counseling as you go through the programs and go through the degree process. When you go in wanting to study one thing and then you 180 and you switch your degree, you got a lot of ground to make up. And so I think a lot of parents are looking at the opportunities that are out there, and a lot of recent high school graduates, I know a lot of them are taking that gap year to really assess the landscape, assess what they want to do. I work in the commercial real estate space, and I have a lot of my members, colleagues, friends who say, hey, I'm interested in this field. I'm interested in this kind of area. Can I learn a little bit more before maybe going to college and making that huge jump? Because not all colleges have that day one mentality. A lot of colleges are adopting that, but many cannot afford that infrastructure, can't afford the staffing to make that happen. So again, I don't have all the answers, but it certainly is something to think about. And I think it's a worthy discussion as we look at the amount of debt and the amount of consternation in the discussion about paying back college loans, and maybe some recent grads being disgruntled and unaffected by the fact that they invested in something that may not be yielding the returns that they expected. All right, one more segment on this when we come back. the University of Wisconsin just released their enrollment numbers. And while those numbers appear to have grown, I think there are some things happening behind the scenes. It's 1:52 on WTMJ.
If you missed this...
Brewers owner Mark Attanasio is with us on WTMJ. Why is he leaving Milwaukee, where he says that he loved it and didn't give you the chance to make the counteroffer?
You'll have to ask Craig that.
Or this.
ABC's Jordana Miller is live in Jerusalem. Just from a geographical sense, how are the Israeli troops deployed in the country?
Well, the main focus of the Israeli army is the battle in northern Gaza.
Check out Wisconsin's Afternoon News, the podcast, presented by Guy's Garage Doors.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
The average 30-year fixed rate is the highest it's been in 23 years. But low overhead AccuNet still has some special 30-year fixed rate money for first-time Wisconsin homebuyers at a rate of 6.625%. That's right, 6.625 on a 30-year fixed with an APR as low as 6.8 with as little as 3% down. Household income limits apply and vary by household size and the county in which your new home is located. Now, you might be thinking this is too good to be true, but it is true, and it gets even a little better. AccuNet can also provide a 10-year fixed second mortgage at an APR of 6.625 to cover the minimum 3% down payment and closing costs. First-time buyers in today's market have an advantage. You don't have a home to sell, and the housing market is a little less competitive all of a sudden, too. Hear that sound? That's opportunity knocking. Answer the door and click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com for your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
Siding Unlimited, named the best window installers, not just here, but in the whole USA. Get the best. Siding Unlimited, 3-time winner as America's best window installer. For windows, you call Siding Unlimited first and directly. SidingUnlimited.com.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health Medicare Advantage plans start at $0 a month? And you can get the extra benefits you need, like dental, vision, over-the-counter items, and more? I know because I'm a member myself. Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal.
Is your home drafty and cold in the winter? Retrofoam of Southeastern Wisconsin will fill your walls, lower your heating and cooling bills, and give you an airtight seal with their foam insulation. It's all done from the exterior of your home without any hassle or mess. Retrofoam offers a lifetime no-cost warranty with a property protection guarantee. They take pride in their customer service, treating all customers like family. Get 0% financing for 5 years if you call and mention WTMJ. Call today at 262-234-FOAM. That's 262-234-FOAM.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
As we ponder this question of college degrees and are they worth it, the jury's still out. It depends, right? There's no right or wrong answer, but the data shows that there's a lot of debt out there, and there's a lot of mistrust, and there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But there's also a lot of options and opportunity for young people. And speaking of young people, earlier this week, the University of Wisconsin announced that its enrollment has grown for the first time since 2014. The Universities of Wisconsin, that's the new name, enrollment grew by more than 1,700 students, or 1.1%, this fall to 162,500 students. That is a lot of students. So they announced this on Wednesday. The enrollment represents the first increase since 2014 for the universities previously branded as the UW system, according to the news release. The official fall 2022 enrollment was 160,000. So enrollment at UW Wisconsin, or Universities of Wisconsin, has increased. And, you know, when you look across the board, not every university is created equally, and not every university is seeing that type of growth. That's why you are seeing consolidation with the different colleges, especially the 2-year degreed institutions. You are seeing a number of the colleges change their offerings, whether it's UW Oshkosh dropping several programs, or Parkside, I believe, just announced that they're dropping a number of programs, trying to consolidate their resources. Obviously, labor and teaching staff and expertise is their most expensive and most valuable resource. And so really trying to get their arms around that. I am not a Universities of Wisconsin graduate, so I don't necessarily follow it, but I'm certainly an investor in this system, just like all of us taxpayers are. And one of the things that I hope our institutions and our universities will really, really focus on, given that of the 162,500 students who are there in 2023, so many of them are from out of state. So many of these people are imports from other states because Universities of Wisconsin is attractive. It's a magnet school. People want to come to Wisconsin for an education. But here's the challenge, is we see these students leaving our state. They have become our number one export. And so as many resources as are invested in getting them here, we need to make sure that we're investing just the same to keep them here after they graduate. Getting them the education they need, getting them the right education that Wisconsin businesses and Wisconsin firms ask for and need, and then making sure that they stay here. We've invested in them, and we want to make sure that they continue to invest in us. We need to make that case. It's a two-way street. When we come back, you are not going to believe what Whoopi Goldberg has said, and I think that you're going to agree with her. It's 1:58 on WTMJ.
This is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. Built Right's Black November deals and Veterans Day sale is on now. It's all about your comfort, your style, and your home at Built Right. 4 generations, 95 years strong. Built Right always saves you money. The 3rd and 4th generation family members are on hand working in the store along with their amazing team with over 400 years of experience. You'll find thousands of items in stock for guaranteed delivery by the holidays. USA made, small scale, Amish made, real solid wood. Built Right has furniture and mattresses for everyone, from petite to plus size, and they can work with your budget, including heavy-duty furniture and mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. 48 models of power lift recliners in stock. A Built Right gift certificate is a great holiday gift, and they are available in any amount. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for personalized shopping. Call to book an appointment. Sunday they're closed to be with family. When you get there, be sure to tell them WTMJ's Jeff Wagner sent you to locally and family-owned Built Right Furniture, 5430 West Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
The place to get caught up, to speak out, to connect and be entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock. We have 44 degrees, cloudy skies, decreasing cloudiness tonight, looking for an overnight low of 32. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. The jury has reached a verdict in the case of former Milwaukee police officer Michael Mattioli. They just received the case today. Mattioli took the stand yesterday on the 4th day of his trial. He's accused of killing Joel Acevedo the day after a party at Mattioli's home in April of 2020. Mattioli testified he wasn't choking Acevedo and thought he'd be okay. When we get word of the verdict, we will bring that to you right here on WTMJ. 20 years in federal prison for sex trafficker Jaron Jackson. The 36-year-old Milwaukee man pled guilty to trafficking 2 15-year-old victims and transporting child pornography. He was picked up on an Amtrak train coming to Wisconsin from Illinois. After fulfilling his sentence, Jackson will face 10 years of supervised release and 25 years of sex offender registration. The president of Ohio State University condemning recent incidents targeting the university's Jewish community on campus.
Ohio State campus police say Ohio law considers the attack a hate crime. They say 2 Jewish students were approached by 2 unknown males. According to reports, the suspect yelled a derogatory term and assaulted the students while asking if they were Jewish. One of the students treated at a hospital and released. The incident happening just a short walk from the campus Jewish Center, where hours earlier the center says 2 women entered, shouted anti-Israeli statements, and vandalized Israeli flags. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in India today, meeting with his counterparts in New Delhi. He told reporters conflicts in Israel and Ukraine are part of what he calls a disturbing trend.
This is about, a a country or a terrorist element not having the right to attack its neighbor.
Israeli troops pushing deeper into Gaza. Local health officials there say it's been a day of intense bombing, and the presence of military vehicles is near hospitals. Yesterday, President Biden said Israel agreeing to daily 4-hour pauses to allow civilians to leave the area was a step in the right direction. U.S. government is facing another potential shutdown. Congress needs to pass legislation to fund the government by November 17th. Newly elected House Speaker Mike Johnson has yet to lay out his plans for a short-term spending plan to avert a shutdown. Today is National Adoption Day, and Waukesha County celebrated by hosting a brief presentation and adoption hearing. Waukesha County Information Officer Hillary Mintz says foster parents are in high demand.
Really, over the last decade, Waukesha County has helped facilitate nearly 700 child adoptions. But there's such a big need for foster care. I know in Waukesha County, it's about 1,300 that are still in foster care awaiting to be adopted.
Mintz stresses there are resources available for beginning foster parents. Expect to see more bell ringers from the Salvation Army soon.
Community members and leaders filled the public market for the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign kickoff. Mayor Cavalier Johnson encouraged charity.
We're entering the season of giving. We should all find ways to give. We should give certainly through the Red Kettle campaign.
The new Tap to Give feature was unveiled, allowing digital donations. Major Trevor McClintock explained how it came about.
You've been able to get your coffee and donuts from the gas station with just a tap of your credit card. It's kind of a natural next step for the Salvation Army.
Jack Grau, WTMJ News.
The Salvation Army has a goal of $4 million in donations this season. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 322 points. NASDAQ is up 258. And the S&P 500 is up 59 points. It's time for the Annex Wealth Management Tax Smart Planning Review. They'll review, assess, and provide strategies you can use. Go to annexwealth.com/taxsmart. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 2:04.
You work hard and play by the rules, but that's not what your monopoly utility wants to do. Utilities are spending millions lobbying lawmakers for a special deal that will increase rates even more, putting corporate profits over consumers. Hard-working Wisconsin taxpayers deserve better. Call your state legislator today. Tell them to vote no on Assembly Bill 470 and Senate Bill 481, paid for by the Electricity Transmission Competition Coalition.
Set your independence in motion. It starts with PACE at Community Care. The program of all-inclusive care for the elderly, also known as PACE, offers complete medical and long-term care services. A team of dedicated healthcare professionals coordinates all aspects of care to support independent living as long as possible. Learn more about a community that cares. Visit joinpacewi.com or call 833-900-PACE. That's joinpacewi.com or call 833-900-PACE.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Pain relief and gimmicks. The two seem to go hand in hand. And it really is a shame, because when you're living with chronic pain, you're vulnerable. And that's why so many people get tricked into buying unproven treatments. At Rejuvenex, we understand how you suffer, how you wait to get out of bed because you know the pain is coming. Chronic pain from osteoarthritis is a terrible thing. And that's why we use our proprietary, powerful, FDA-approved treatments to precisely target your affected areas, to provide cushion and lubrication that helps deliver long-lasting pain relief in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. We're in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Giannis scored an NBA season-high 54 points, but committed 2 late turnovers late, and the Indiana Pacers beat the Milwaukee Bucks by a final score of 126-124 on Thursday night. With the loss, the Bucks falling to 5-3 on their season and will be back to work on Saturday night in Orlando. Over to the NFL, where the Bears knocked off the Panthers to kick off Week 10 with the Thursday night win by a final score of 16-13. Chicago with the win, improving to 3-7 on their season. 2 college hoops, where the Wisconsin men's basketball team will welcome in the number 9 team ranked in the country, the Tennessee Tennessee Volunteers tonight at the Kohl Center. That tip-off is all scheduled for 8 p.m. And lastly, the Green Bay Packers are just days away from their Week 10 matchup in Pittsburgh. On Thursday afternoon, the Packers were back out on the practice field. Still no Jair Alexander or Quay Walker for the Pack. However, John Runyon Jr. and Yosh Nijman did return to practice. Kickoff for Steelers-Packers is all set for noon on Sunday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. Delays really starting to stack up. I-43 southbound, that construction zone, Brown Deer Road to downtown. Normally about an 11-minute drive. It's going to take you now about 26 minutes this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Evans Transportation Services. Thank heavens for Evans.
Rely on one company for accounting, shipping, and tracking. Evans Transportation Services. Family owned for 40 years and continuing to grow. Evans Transportation Services in Delafield.
A WTMJ 5-day forecast, decreasing cloudiness tonight with a low of 32. Sunshine tomorrow with a high 47. Partly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 54. Then sunny and mild both Monday and Tuesday. Highs both days in the upper 50s. Madison right now is at 39. Green Bay at 43. Milwaukee 45 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time 2:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now filling in for Jeff Wagner, here's Tracy Johnson.
So great to be with you on this Friday afternoon. 2 hours down, 1 to go on this Jeff Wagner Show. I just appreciate all the texts and the input. And if I can provide information, I know we have people asking for links, for updates, all of that. That's why I love this talk and text line. Again, if you want to weigh in on any of these things, 855-616-1620. That is the old National Bank talk and text line. So I don't have a lot of opportunity to watch The View. Many people do, though. It is a daytime television show. It features a number of guests. It started decades ago. I believe Barbara Walters was one of the original hosts, but now one of the main hosts and the most, I would say, controversial host is the one and only Whoopi Goldberg. And while I didn't see her comments happen live, I did read about them, and I thought they were so interesting. I wanted to share it with you. Play the clip.
Every generation comes and wants to do better than their parents did. Every generation. But I'm sorry, if you only want to work 4 hours, it's going to be harder for you to get a house.
Oh, and don't mention 4 days. No, but
I feel for everybody that feels this, but I'm sorry. We busted our behinds. Mm-hmm. We had to bust our behinds because we didn't have the option of going back.
Y'all gave us the housing crisis, though.
But listen, we had all kinds of stuff.
No, it's true. But the one thing I'd say is millennials are statistically the first generation that's likely to do worse off than their parents.
You know what? That's what they said to us as well. Every generation is told you're going to do worse than your parents. And you know what? People pick it up and they do what they do and they raise themselves. And this is what you got to do. It's called being a good citizen.
And there you have it. I heard that and I was like, whoa, Whoopi Goldberg. She said what she needed to say. She was going back and forth with one of her co-hosts, I believe it was Alyssa Farah Griffin, who said, you know, feel sorry for us. I mean, we want to work less and we want leisure and we want comfort and we've got it so hard. And Whoopi said, that's what we were told. We all got it hard. We need to work hard. We need to work smart and don't feel sorry for ourselves. The thing that stood out, though, from that conversation was this whole idea of a 4-day work week. And this was something that's been discussed for years and years and years. And from what I'm seeing, potentially decades and decades and decades. And I'm wondering if Whoopi, while I love her remarks and I love where she's going, I wonder if this idea of the 4-day work week could actually at some point work. It's something that Congress, different congressional leaders have pushed for. It's something that we heard once again from the UAW, the United Auto Workers. They pushed for in their contract agreement. They didn't get it because I think that's really hard to manage. And in Europe, there was a grand experiment that tested the theory of the 4-day work week. And it actually found that it could work. I don't know. So looking back at the history, the Americans began shifting from agriculture to manufacturing jobs, where the average working week dropped from over 70 hours. People used to work 70 hours a week, Aaron, in 1830 to roughly 40 hours in 1930. In 1933, a bill passed the Senate with initial support from then President Franklin Roosevelt that would have created a 30-hour work week. But following significant industry opposition, Roosevelt shifted towards focusing on a 40-hour work week, rather than shortening them. So this is fascinating to me in doing this research, that this has been a discussion for a very long time. The aim of this progress followed the same shift. It was away from gathering more leisure time and towards securing full-time employment and full-time productivity. And after COVID, and with the invent of hybrid work and with the adoption of hybrid work, I just wonder if it's really about time to take it up, a 4-day work week once again. And I know there are lots of people listening. It's their Friday, and although it is a holiday for many people, they're off on Friday. Not just working from home, they're off on Friday. But could this work, and are there benefits to exploring this once again? Or is this just something that lazy millennials want? I don't know. I know in my world, if I work for 4 days, I work 4 days, I'm working 10-hour days. But I'm not sure everybody takes work that seriously. So are we at a point in time, and have enough leaders made the case, have enough companies showed us that it can work, that a 4-day work week is really something that we should consider? 855-616-1620 on the Old National Bank talk and text line. You know, it's not just an idea, it's not just a theory, but it's actually been proven. It's been tried. And I know there are lots of industry idiosyncrasies and, scheduling and productivity and all of that. But, is this something that we should consider once again? Should Congress take this up once again? Or is it something that should be left to the individual companies? I know these policies shift and change, and, companies evolve. And depending on the day of the week, the month of the year, you can have all this flexibility. But is a standard 4-day work week, which means a 3-day vacation, which actually sounds really good, unless you're a manager. But is this something we should be considering as a society? Once again, 855-616-1620 on the Old National Bank talk and text line. We'll discuss and share your responses when we return.
Missing the playoffs in 92, some thought it was the... Then in 97.
Packers are going to enjoy the fruit and the Lombardi Trophy.
And in 2011.
The Lombardi Trophy is coming home.
Now with a new soundtrack to the season. It's officially the season of love. Catch Green Bay Game Day, pre- and post-game, all season long. Right here on WTMJ.
Hey, I know what it's like. Your knees hurt, your hip doesn't feel right, your back hurts as soon as you take that first step after waking up. Well, don't let it sideline you any longer. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Call QC Kinetics now. It's the future of pain relief. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. They restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and they do it the natural way. It's the science of using properties from your own body to bring you that lasting relief that you're looking for with no drugs and no downtime, with advanced protocols that can get you moving again. And that's what you want to be doing. Well, get started now so you can live big in 2024. Talk about a great use of your FSA and HSA. QC Kinetics offers advanced regenerative treatments, and folks are getting amazing results. Call QC Kinetics. A free consultation awaits. Call 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
What's the way to build your wealth?
While going over a new client's statements from one of the big financial firms, I was floored when I read that firm does not offer tax or estate planning advice, because we know that saving money for our clients on their taxes, legally and well within the law, can make a huge difference in their financial plan. If you want to wisely build your wealth, it is my firm opinion that without a comprehensive approach, you're going to be at a big disadvantage. At Financial Strategies, Inc., we're taking a deep dive and creating comprehensive strategies that develop your retirement, investment, and your tax and estate planning. And all under a fee-only structure that means the success we care about most is yours. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Great to have you with us on WTMJ 855-616-1620 on the Old National Bank talk and text line. 4-day work week. Is it about time? Mike in Illinois, you're on WTMJ.
Good afternoon, Tracy. How are you?
Great.
So, obviously, the ideal sounds appealing. I can certainly remember in college talking with my friends about it, saying, oh, yeah, that's how it should be. But when you get out in the real world, I mean, I don't think any kind of government involvement or government mandate should be part of it. I think that it should be by industry.
Yep.
I used to work in production, and if there was a 4-day work week, first of all, they have to increase the hours. A lot of production people already work overtime and work Saturdays already, and a lot of people like it because they like that overtime. I just don't see. I could see it like in an office setting, like instead of working 8 hours, working 10 hours, and you get that extra 8 hours in. But in production, I think it should be, based on the industry, based on the company.
Well, and
there are companies.
It's interesting that you said that when you work in production, and I completely get it. I would think that would be a scheduling just nightmare. And if you made this a law, you would have to somehow filter that down through so many different layers. And what are the expectations?
Well, especially if you throw in unions in the equation.
Yeah.
I mean, as it is, at least when I was in production, Saturdays were time and a half, Sundays were double. So now you'd have an extra day of overtime they'd have to pay. I mean, companies are getting squeezed right now as it is. I think you get huge pushback from certain industries.
Well, and it's what's interesting also that you said about the working 8 hours. Instead of working 8 hours, you'd work 4 days a week. And one of the texters suggested this too. I think about productivity. And on a production line or in a manufacturing facility, many times they're working or they're going 24 hours. You've got the different shifts. That's a different proposition. So is this about 40 hours a week or is this about 4 days a week? I think it's that they're, and I think you're seeing more and more employees pushing for these types of things. Employers, I think, still have a lot of questions. Mike, thank you so much for the call. Jeff in Fox Point, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, Tracy. I think that companies who try to encourage health and wellness would have trouble with this because I think that employees who are working 10-hour days are less likely to go home and exercise and take time to cook healthy meals for themselves and would probably be more likely to just plop on the couch and get fast food somewhere.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, and it actually was part of the research out of Europe. There were something like 3,000 companies that participated in this study, and they were actually looking at wellness and stress, and they were also looking at retention, and they were looking at burnout, and all of these things need to be considered when we're thinking about that, but definitely with health and wellness. And because that is such an emphasis of so many of these companies, they might have a more difficult situation. Thank you so much for the call. I think one of the texters brought up a good point. If we have a 4-day work week, first of all, which 4 days is it? That's something that right now, kind of exploring this hybrid model, we navigate and we figure out with our employer. But what about childcare? That is a whole separate conversation. And what about schools and education? How do we manage that? Because I do feel that so many jobs and so many employers and childcare or education, they're so intertwined. And I recall a few months ago, maybe it was last year as we were coming out of the pandemic, Milwaukee Public Schools had been exploring that 4-day school week. And they were saying, these teachers need the rest. They need a rest day and a prep day. And so the kids would probably benefit as well. And there was a great deal of pushback from the community. The parents in Milwaukee were just like, wait a minute. We can't just change one piece of the equation without figuring out the rest. So that is a whole separate dynamic, but they're going to need to be done hand in glove. And I keep going back to this idea of productivity. I know in my world, in my work, there are just certain things, because I've been at my job so long. I've been in my current position for 10 years, doing what I do for 25. My productivity soars. The content on my work changes, but if I were more on a production line, I wouldn't have to work as many hours. And maybe that's where we need to figure out the solution, is right around that productivity. Jeremy in Delafield, you're on WTMJ.
How you doing?
Great. What do you think? 4-day work week. Let's do it. Yes or no?
Yeah, no, I think they're great. I've been working a 4-day work week for about 20 years.
Oh.
Actually, 20 plus years.
And?
I'm in liquor distribution, and it works fantastic. I mean, we get a straight 3-day weekend.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, there are some days where we end up obviously working extra hours. And as to the caller before, or a couple callers ago, you're getting home and you're tired, and you kind of plop down on the couch and maybe don't feel like doing much. But then there are some days where we get done early, and we get out and able to go about our business. But then we have a 3-day weekend to kind of fall back on.
Yeah, well, and you've been doing this for 20 years. This goes right to the point that potentially, this might be a good thing for retention. I mean, you obviously like your job, you like the schedule, you like the setup, and that probably has a lot to do with it, because you get to relax.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, we've had several employees return to us because they've gone back to 5-day weeks, and they're just like, no, this wasn't working for me. I like the 4-day work weeks better.
Jeremy, do you think this gives employers more flexibility when negotiating with employees for salary, wage, and benefits? Is this one of those benefits that could be considered a starter?
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, it is enticing, but I don't think it's going to be one of those. I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, if you've never worked a 4-day work week and you go, wow, this would be nice, then it could be enticing. But I mean, I don't know. It's something that you're going to have to use as like a lure.
Yeah. Jeremy, thanks so much for the call. I think he's a great example. I've got a number of texters who suggest they work a 4-day work week. It looks like somebody suggested that Harley Davidson has this on a production line. In a manufacturing facility, though, I'm thinking it has to be based on productivity and output. And I would think in manufacturing on a production line, that might be a little easier to measure. I think for an office worker, although we have been moving towards kind of more that measurement of productivity, that's a whole another dicey topic that many people have been trying to get into, is how do we measure that productivity, and is Big Brother watching, managing our keystrokes, managing our computer time, managing where we go on the internet, all of that. So fascinating discussion for sure. A 4-day work week is not on the agenda. It was not part of the UAW negotiation or the final contract. And so I think that many young people, middle-aged people, old people, anyone, we can keep thinking about it. Maybe it's a conversation we need to have with our managers. But right now it is 2:26. When we come back, headache for bosses when employees aren't quitting. We'll discuss when we return. 2:26 on WTMJ.
Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.
Join us this week as we discuss Medicare, its role, and the complicated selection process in retirement.
Retirement Ready with Tony Drake on WTMJ.
So I came to Advent because I was experiencing recurrent sinus infections. As a new mom, it was really kind of difficult.
Many of our patients complain of sinus infections. The headaches, fatigue, and nasal stuffiness have a profound effect on their lives.
I just felt like your sickness starts affecting your energy level and, the things that you really enjoy doing. That really was a breaking point for me.
So Molly came to Advent. Abnormally tight sinuses and swollen turbinates led to simple breathing triangle solutions that ended up taking about 20 minutes in office. And very soon thereafter, she was breathing freely.
I'm just in awe at the amount of air that that I'm able to breathe in and out each night, and I haven't had a sinus infection since the procedure.
I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. When you breathe well, you do live better.
Results may vary. It's here on consignment from over 10,000 nationwide partners. From very high-end, distinctive furniture, unique antiques and original art, to tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. Premium home decor priced right at 25 to 40% off retail prices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating taste come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Smart interior designers know that what they'll see here is going to be almost impossible to find anywhere else, especially at our consignment prices. Premium home decor that's gently loved and close to new. And what we carry can raise the wow factor of anyone's home decor. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Great to have you with us on WTMJ. We call this the half hour talking about work. I know we're all probably about to hang it up for the weekend, sliding into a nice Veterans Day weekend where we celebrate and thank our veterans. But one more segment on work, and this is an article that I've been carrying around with me for the last week or so, and I've been looking for a place to kind of bring this up because it's fascinating to me. I talk about all the things that fascinate me, and it suggests that there's a new problem for bosses, for managers, and it is that employees aren't quitting their jobs. So if you think back to during the pandemic, we had a lot of people leaving jobs. A lot of people were let go. A lot of people were moving around. There was a lot of, stress in the marketplace, and employers, I would say even before the pandemic, they have been really looking for ways to not only attract, but retain their people, because people for most of these companies is the number one, not only expense, the number one cost, but it is what makes their companies go. Not only from innovation and intellectual standpoint, but from a manual standpoint as well. And so there was this huge push to come up with packages to keep employees. There was a lot of concessions made, I think, by employers to say, what's it going to take to keep you? We saw a lot of wage growth during this time when there was a lot of competition for jobs. And it appears that at this point, that has stopped. The numbers suggest that employees are not moving around like they used to. They're staying put. They're not job hopping anymore. They're not looking for a better wage. They're saying, you know what? I'm looking around and the economy isn't what I thought it would be, or it wasn't what it used to be. And I've negotiated a higher wage. I've negotiated better benefits. I've negotiated a hybrid time schedule, a work environment. I think I'm good. I'm going to stay here. This is going to be my job. And it's causing some headaches for managers in a number of different industries, including finance and insurance. And these managers are used to people kind of cycling through. They're used to a natural attrition rate, which they see as a good thing because it keeps ideas fresh. It keeps innovation at the center of the discussion, at the center of the workplace. It's good for culture. It's good for collaboration, new ideas, new thinking, inspiration, all of that. And they're saying that they've looked around and they've said, oh my gosh, like people aren't leaving. I was expecting to have turnover, 5%, 10%, and that's just not happening. And so it's not leaving the window. It's not leaving the space for new people to come into these companies. So I don't know what's on the horizon. We've been told there's a recession coming. We've seen some employers letting workers go, employees go. We've seen some stress in different sectors of our economy. And I don't know what that's going to lead to. So this story may change. But for now, I think a lot of workers are really hunkering down. And as an employer myself, someone who has employees and who am very proud of the longevity of my team, I want them to stick with me. I mean, we went through the pandemic. We've been through a lot. And so I hope that bosses and managers can start to see the benefits of having these people stick with them for such a long time. But for now, at least some of the thinking is that this could be stifling for companies. I think we need to change the way we think about things. 2:33 on WTMJ. When we come back, is Aaron Rodgers going to play football yet this season? We will discuss.
You work hard and play by the rules, but that's not what your monopoly utility wants to do. Utilities are spending millions lobbying lawmakers for a special deal that will increase rates even more, putting corporate profits over consumers. Hard-working Wisconsin taxpayers deserve better. Call your state legislator today. Tell them to vote no on Assembly Bill 470 and Senate Bill 481, paid for by the Electricity Transmission Competition Coalition.
Set your independence in motion. It starts with PACE at Community Care. The program of all-inclusive care for the elderly, also known as PACE, offers complete medical and long-term care services. A team of dedicated healthcare professionals coordinates all aspects of care to support independent living as long as possible. Learn more about a community that cares. Visit joinpacewi.com or call 833-900-PACE. That's joinpacewi.com or call 833-900-PACE.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Do you hear that hissing sound? I think it's the sound of some steam being let out of the fall housing market. As the average 30-year fixed rate has crept toward 8%, some buyers have taken a break. Homes aren't selling on the first weekend anymore. Some are still selling over asking, but fewer and by not as much. Some sellers are even willing to chip in toward buyer closing costs to get their asking price. Now, do you hear that knocking sound? That's opportunity. Opportunity for well-prepared home shoppers. This dip in home buyer demand is not going to last, and mortgage rates are forecast to dip next year. Here's the best part. AccuNet can show you how to use a seller closing cost credit to lower your monthly payment by $100 or maybe even $200 a month for the first year or two while we wait for the refi window of opportunity to open, which we can typically accomplish with no loan costs. It's your choice, fear or opportunity. Click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com and become a confident, opportunistic, rock-solid home shopper. That's ACCUNET.com.
Lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy.
It's a little Gordon Lightfoot there, the Edmund Fitzgerald. Today is the 48th anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Fascinating topic. You guys got to look at what happened on this day in history. Also interesting to know, Gordon Lightfoot, who wrote and performed that song, died earlier this year at the age of 84. But the significance of that song in Wisconsin is just this historical significance that it has such a Great Lakes connection. And although it was in 1975, it was a huge tragedy for the Great Lakes region when the ship took off and sunk over the night, November 9th, November 10th. all 29 on board passed away. But interesting, significant historical marker. And on the 48th anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. That's a shout out to my husband who helped me find that little tidbit. That's one of his favorite songs, by the way. All right. So this one, I can't believe people haven't talked about this, because unlike many people in Wisconsin, I still have a fondness for Aaron Rodgers. And I marvel at this guy who is just such an athlete and such a force in football. And he went, obviously, from the Green Bay Packers to the New York Jets last year. He started to play for the New York Jets, and early on in the second game, he snapped his Achilles, and he has been unable to play. And even though he's been unable to play, what I think is so fascinating about Aaron Rodgers is even though he's not on the field, he is everywhere. He does a number of podcasts. He's on the sidelines, and he's been passing the football during warm-ups. And he was caught last week answering the question, "Hey, Aaron, when you coming back?" And he said, "Oh, give me a couple weeks." And I think it raised a couple of eyebrows, and it certainly stirred some discussion. And I'm interested in seeing him come back. I got to be honest. I'm interested in seeing this great athlete play football. And I wonder, it's not about forgiving him or being mad at him for leaving. I mean, we dealt with that all week with Craig Counsell. But this is about seeing a great athlete perform with a new set of players. And granted, he took a number of the Packers with him. Do we want to see him back up and running yet this season? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. If you look at him passing the football, he's all over ESPN. He's all over TV. It looks like nothing ever happened. In fact, there are some people who suggest maybe he didn't have a full snap of the Achilles. Maybe he just kind of tweaked it a little bit. Now, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't get into that. But I want to see him back. I want to see him back on the field. What I think is so funny about this whole kind of situation, the fact that he was injured and he's out for the rest of the season so early on, is that the Jets had such a prime TV spot, and that they have the Sunday night games, the Monday night games. They've got just a killer schedule. And so they're the games that people want to watch. And I think a lot of people picked Aaron Rodgers for their fantasy football. Aaron, I know you were saying, I want to see him come back for my fantasy league.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have his number one wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, on my fantasy football team, and the quarterback that's playing right now isn't cutting it for me, right? So I got to get Aaron Rodgers back out there. That'd be great for me in my playoff push and hopefully a championship.
But I don't know. Does the rest of Wisconsin want to see Aaron Rodgers back this year? 855-616-1620. I see him as still Wisconsin. I mean, even though he's at the New York Jets, he's Wisconsin to me. He will always be Wisconsin to me. But both my kids have Aaron Rodgers jerseys. He's Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. He's a Green Bay Packer.
Yeah, and I'm a Bears fan, which I know I'm not going to be making any fans by saying that. And I was happy to see him go. But if you're a football fan, you want to see one of the greatest to ever do it, keep playing and do it at a high level. So I, even as a Bears fan, this is not my selfish fantasy football take. I really do want to see him come back.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. Some of the discussion evolves around the fact that, Aaron Rodgers needs to take it easy for his long-term health and wellness, right? He's got to heal it up, and he because if he goes back out there and he's unprotected or something happens, he could snap it and he could be done for his career. Well, when you're 39, 40 years old, how many more years left do you have? I want to see him go out there. I want to see him put it all on the floor, all on the line, all on the field. Aaron Rodgers, he's hinting that he might be back. And I would think Wisconsin fans would be excited to see that. I don't know. Or are you excited to see him just fall on his face again? I don't know. After all this Craig Counsell stuff, I don't know. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We will discuss. Share your comments when we return.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here for Floor Coverings International. They're doing the flooring in my house, and it is awesome. You get a rave-worthy experience with Floor Coverings International, the stars of flooring. Now enjoy special financing and save hundreds off on new floors during FCI's Save with the Stars event. Enjoy FCI's all-star service, including the mobile flooring showroom. I love that. Thousands of options, down to the penny quotes, and professional installation by one local team for your entire project. Offer ends 11/30/23, so schedule your in-home consultation today at FCIPromo.com. Offer good at participating locations.
So I have been in the operating room most of my career, watching people have orthopedic surgery, watching people get knees replaced, hips replaced, shoulders fixed, and I knew there had to be a better way.
That's Dr. Daniel Zuckerman, a medical director for QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in non-invasive regenerative treatments for pain relief.
I see so many people who could have been helped before they got to the operating room if only they had known about regenerative medicine.
QC Kinetics, a natural alternative that uses your body's own healing properties to help restore and repair damaged joint tissue, providing long-lasting relief without drugs, surgery, or downtime.
Well, it feels great when I do get to see somebody who we help, who I know I kept out of the operating room. It's amazing how we change people's lives without surgery.
Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
If you've been injured, let our team help get you back in the game. Gruber Law Offices, a proud partner of the Milwaukee Bucks. Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all.
With Social Security, the longer you wait, the more money you may get. Deciding when to start taking your Social Security benefits is one of the most important retirement decisions you'll make. Our team of advisors at Drake & Associates can show you the options and help you decide on the best decision for you and your situation. You spent decades paying in, optimize what comes out. Our experienced team can help you squeeze every penny out of your Social Security benefits. I'd love to get you our Retirement Ready Toolkit, which includes guides such as the Social Security Decision. To receive this complimentary toolkit, call or text SS to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting SS to 414-409-9982.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
Welcome back on WTMJ. We're ending the show with what I didn't think was going to be that controversial of a question, but the question is, do we want to see Aaron Rodgers come back? He hinted on it on the sidelines. Just this week, he said, I'll be back in a couple weeks. Snap your Achilles and you'll be back in a couple weeks. This man is superhuman. We have response all over the map. Nancy and Butler, you're on WTMJ. We're going to keep them short here.
Yes. Do I want him back? No.
No. Why not? Do you enjoy him when he was here in Wisconsin? Is it because he left?
I loved him in the first how many years? The beginning, he was awesome. But then he started getting too... what do you call it? He was drama queen.
Oh, two more people said that on the text line. Drama queen. We're sick of it.
Yeah, drama queen. And it's like, guess what? It's not all about you, Aaron. And just got sick of it. And like, he's a victim. And I don't want to see him back. No, I don't.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. Robert in Greenfield, you're on WTMJ. Aaron Rodgers back? Yes or no?
Yes, definitely want Rodgers back. I'm actually a Niners fan, and I fell in love watching this guy. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks ever, if not for Brady, to be honest, at least physically. But I think this kind of goes back to also the Gutekunst concept. As the Niners fan, we saw it with Trent Baalke. He destroyed the whole team, got rid of Harbaugh, everything else, and this is exactly what's happening with the Packers. Gutekunst stripped the roster, never made any improvements, drafted that quarterback and Jordan Love, and pushed Rodgers out the door. So this guy's, again, super athlete, super player. And it would be great to see him come back with one last little night recap because he is 39, 40 years old.
Yeah, he doesn't have much time before him in the NFL. Robert, thanks for the call. Jim, in Chicago, you're on WTMJ.
Yes, thanks for taking my call. I'm an NFL fan, and Aaron Rodgers is good for the NFL since there are so many inferior, terrible quarterbacks in the NFL, so you need him back. But he's not coming back this year with that type of injury. And he hasn't performed well the last several years. I don't know how that guy can say he's the best quarterback ever. Not close. One Super Bowl win. He lost at home the last 2 playoff games and did not play well at all. But he'll be back next year because he's still trying to prove himself, but he's not going to win with the Jets. Thanks.
Jim, thanks for the call. Tammy in Montello, you're on WTMJ.
I would have to say no. I'm not looking forward to having him back, and I say that because when did we start looking at athletes as this hero status? He's not. He's not been a good role model. He turned into just this drama king this last couple of years, like the last lady said. It's all about him, and he's not been that great.
Yeah, when you look at his record, he's done well for the Packers, and
sure.
And I think the Jets saw, I don't want to say potential, but they saw a great athlete. They saw a leader. But I agree with you, and many of the texters have suggested that he was just bigger than the team. And maybe right now, even though with the Packers team, I don't think we have any of these standout players that we're talking about. Maybe that's for the better. Maybe we just need to focus on the team rather than the individual. And I actually think that in New York, given the size of that market and the size of that team and the interest in that team, he might be a little bit notched down. I'm not sure he is in New York what he was in Green Bay. So you don't want to see him back. Tammy, thanks for the call. Jan in Brown Deer, you're on WTMJ.
No, I do not want to see him back. Same as the other ladies. He's a drama. He's all about himself. I don't like him. I'm glad he's not with the Packers. So, no, I don't want to see him back.
All right. Thanks for the call. I feel like we have developed consensus on this. I thought we'd have more people just excited to see this athlete come back. So, hey, I hope I haven't offended the audience by saying I am excited to see an athlete. I actually, if it weren't for Aaron Rodgers' kind of attitude and the fact that he brought so much drama to the stage, I do appreciate his athleticism. And maybe that's one of the problems I have with some of these celebrities or athletes, whether it's Michael Jordan or you name a controversial celebrity who, has caused waves in the world. I look at them as athletes, and I look at them for their tenacity and their athletic ability and just their fortitude. And one of the things I just find so fascinating about Aaron Rodgers is you tell him, well, no, dude, you broke your Achilles. You snapped your Achilles. You're not going to play for at least a season. This is career ending. Could be career ending for some people, especially people of your age. And he's just like, yep, I'm going to do it. And maybe his ego is going to get the best of him. And maybe this is going to be career ending. And maybe he's thinking, you know what? I don't have many more years to prove myself. I'm going to go out with a bang. So we shall see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. I thought it was fascinating that we haven't had this discussion. And I guess that people aren't really loving on Aaron Rodgers. I would say this is kind of a note and a memo to Craig Counsell. Just watch out, man. The fact that you left Milwaukee, going to the Cubs, you better not try to come back. And we are no fan of yours, or at least that's what I'm hearing now. All right. We have breaking news, and that is the Mike Mattioli trial happening right now. Split jury. That is breaking news. And I know that John will be talking about that in further detail. All right. We do have a split jury So that there will be more coming on that. All right. I always want to end the show on a high note. And on a high note, I want to end on a story about Jimmy Buffett. He is someone that I know many listeners in the audience love. I know he is Jeff Wagner's favorite singer. In fact, that is one of the reasons Jeff and I connected is over our love of Jimmy Buffett and our love of Jimmy Buffett music and the experiences. It's something that brings people together. It's something that everybody can relate to. He's all about a good time. He's all about just be happy. And at the Country Music Awards earlier this week, a number of people who he had collaborated with, including Zac Brown Band and Kenny Chesney and Alan Jackson, they performed a medley of Buffett's songs. And his former guitarist was interviewed and did an interview and said, I spoke to Jimmy the day before he died. And he said something that I think we all need to remember. He said, what a hell of a ride. Keep it going. Keep the party going. And he said, that's our intention, is to do that. And I love that. Even though he knew that he wasn't long for this world, he knew he had this cancer that was going to take his life. He just said, you know what? I'm grateful for what I have. This has been a great ride. Let's keep it going. Let's pass it on. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for participating in the call. Thank you so much for giving me a chance. Aaron in the producer booth, this has been so great. I'm actually getting a little emotional doing 7 shows in a row. This has been so much fun. And I just am grateful to WTMJ for giving me the chance, giving me the opportunity, and for Jeff Wagner for believing in me that we could do this. And of course, to my family for putting up with me these last couple of days. There's a lot of prep that goes into this show. I love it. This is awesome. We have a great community, and you've got a great station that you're listening to. Jeff will be back on Monday, as far as I'm told. But right now, let's see what John has on Wisconsin's Afternoon News. He will be in after the break.
Your weekly Bucks breakdown is back.
They want to win equally as bad as I do.
Bucks Weekly on WTMJ.
Now he joins a team where you have, as he has put it, the best player in the league.
And a new year brings new faces.
You'll see that I've gotten better year